In the NFC, the Chicago Bears tied with Detroit, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay for that final playoff spot. And in the AFC, the Seahawks in the same position, tied with Cleveland and New England. Hello, everyone. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris here at the Kingdome in Seattle, where today it's safe to say the loser of this game will probably not be in the playoff hunt. And so, Johnny Morris, we find ourselves, as usual, in terms of the Chicago Bears, talking about Walter Payton, who seems to make news every week one way or another.
Yes, he's been quoted as saying he'd like to carry the football a little bit more. As you know, Mike Ditch is trying to put in a multiple-type offense. Walter Payton wants to carry the ball more. He probably will today because Seattle's not that strong against the run, so the Seahawks are going to see Walter Payton. It's not so much that he wants to be a hog, it's that Payton feels that he's got to keep his hands on the ball to be in the groove, you know, that kind of thing.
Well, of course, the Seahawks know they're going to be busy handling him today. Last week they had their hands full with the Raiders, but despite being in a big hole, they came back and were in a position to win it at the end.
I think the team is asserting Mike McCormick's personality. They were relaxed, came back, got 23 points, almost pulled it out. And, of course, Roger Carr was a big part of that. He caught 3 passes for 90 yards, and he hadn't caught too many passes for the Seahawks, so we'll see if he plays a little bit more today. It's about time for kickoff.
Well, the Chicago Bears are going to receive the football. The Seattle Seahawks to our right, about to kick it off, and it'll be Norm Johnson, the rookie from UCLA, heading it from his own 35. The deep men for the Chicago Bears, Gentry and Watts, and with a little advice from Ricky Watts, the rookie Dennis Gentry takes the touchback, and the Bears will begin offensively from their own 20-yard line. Indoor football, with the Chicago Bears coming out with the rookie from BYU, Jim McMahon, at quarterback, Payton and Suey the running backs, Marjoram and Bashnagel are the wide receivers. Across that front, Phil McKinley, Noah Jackson, Dan Neal, Perry Hartnett starting for the injured Jeff Williams, Keith Van Horn at tackle, and Emery Moorhead, who leads the Bears receivers in catches, is the tight end. Marjoram is wide to the left, and Bashnagel wide right. They jump from the pro set into the I. Suey the lead back. Moorhead in motion. Matt Suey trying left tackle. He is hauled down by Manu Tuisasopo.
You did very well on that. It's so hard to pronounce. You can see it a million times and try and pronounce it. It's difficult to get out of your mouth.
There is that defensive line. Jacob Green, Robert Hardy, Tuisasopo, and Jeff Bryant. And it's a good one. 3 exciting young linebackers. The rookie Bruce Schultz, Michael Jackson in the middle, and Keith Butler. And a very tough secondary. Number 1 against the pass, Simpson, Brown, Easley, and Harris. James Scott in at wide receiver with Ricky Watts. The Bears making an immediate change on 2nd and 7. And Watts in motion behind the ball. Walter Payton. Payton is stopped at the line of scrimmage. A tough defensive play. Coming up was Keith Simpson, the 5-year man from Memphis State.
Nice play by Simpson, because Matt Suey, number 26, was out to throw the block in front of Payton, and he was able to avoid the block and make the tackle. So it looks like Seattle's defense is as ready as Walter Payton on his first carry of the day. And I would guess if the Bear running attack goes, Payton may carry 25 times today.
May have been a slight loss on the play. We'll call it 3rd and 7. Walter Payton, 270 yards thus far, 70 of them last week, needs 122 to reach the 10,000 mark in his distinguished career. Bashnagel and Marjoram back in at wide receiver. The pitch, Suey. Suey runs into his own blocker, bounces off him like a bowling ball, and rolls out, but short of the first down, as the linebacker Bruce Schultz, the number 2 pick from Texas, made the tackle. So the Bears will have to punt.
It was Perry Hartnett out in front, and Suey bowled him over, did not get to the first down, as the Bears were 1-2-3 and will have to punt to the Seahawks.
There is Bob Parsons, had an 81-yarder at Soldier Field last week, a Soldier Field record. He's punting indoors today. Punters love it. The deep man is Paul Johns. Good kick. Johns back at his 24. Johns with a burst of speed to midfield, still going to the 40-yard line. He was tripped up by Ricky Watts, or he might have gone all the way, and the ball will be spotted at the 40.
Paul Johns is extremely quick, and as you know, he's a wide receiver, and one of these days he's going to be something special, but on punt returns, notice the quickness that he has. The one little deke, and then he does what a good punt returner should do, is turn it right up. The straight line sometimes can get you the most yardage, and he almost broke it. If it hadn't have been for number 88 making the tackle, that's the reserve tight end, Brooks Williams.
All right, it looked like the punter, Bob Parsons, might have been the guy that tripped him up. I had Watts on that. But anyway, Seattle has the ball at the Bears' 40-yard line. A 36-yard return by John. And the first pass by the Seahawks is complete for about 9 yards. We'll see where they spot it. And it was the tight end, Pete Metzelars, the rookie from Wabash. As we see the Seahawks offensively, Zorn at quarterback, Sherman Smith, Dan Dorning. The running backs, Steve Largent and Paul Johns. The starting wide receivers, Essink, Bailey, Yarno, Pratt, and August across the front with Mike Tice, although it turned out to be Metzelars getting the first play at tight end. Now Tice is in, number 86, the second-year man from Maryland. It is 2nd and 3, Seattle at the Bears' 33. Largent in motion. They swing it out to Dornick. He's by himself, now cut back nicely behind his blocker. And it looks like he has the first down. Otis Wilson is there, and in front of him, Gary Campbell and Jim Osborne to make the stop for the Bears. But it is a Seahawks first down at the 29-yard line of Chicago. The Bears defensively, Hartenstein, Osborne, Hampton, and Harris across the front. Both teams playing a 4-3. Wilson, Singletary, and Gary Campbell. The linebackers, Schmidt, Frazier, ahead of Reuben Henderson again this week. Fensick and Lenny Walterscheid for the injured Doug Plank.
And I think Mike Ditka said it aptly. He said that Frazier is now the starter at cornerback.
Tice and Metzelars, double tight ends in on first down for the Seahawks. Largent in motion back to the ball.
Oh.
Pitch is to Sherman Smith, and Smith is forced out of bounds at the 24-yard line by Lenny Walterscheid, number 23.
And Ron Ensink got out there real nicely there as he pulled out of the line and knocked down 2 men to help the Seahawks get a 5-yard gain out of that. Sherman Smith, who's done so well for the Seahawks over the years, 43 rushes for 134 yards so far this season. This is kind of a disjointed season, as everybody knows.
And certainly with the addition of Theodis Brown coming over a year ago from St. Louis, Mike McCormick has himself a little more offense than they had before. We look at some of the staff of the Seahawks along the sideline, and it is 2nd and 5 for Seattle, threatening off this first offensive series. Zorn, a short drop, complete to Largent. Largent has first down yardage, forced out by Fensick, gets to the 16-yard line of the Bears. An 8-yard pickup.
Nice play, wasn't it? As Largent went in motion, came back the other way, and threw him the quick pass. You'll see number 80 in motion both ways, and then just takes the pass out behind the wide receiver who went down the field. And it's a nice little gain. Gary Fensick, number 45, has to come all the way over there from the middle to make the coverage on that play.
So it is a first down for Seattle at the 16 of the Chicago Bears. And Steve Largent with some impressive numbers. You can expect that they will try to get the ball to him. Watts, he is the favorite receiver of Jim Zorn, unless they roll up that consecutive game mark. A near offside by the Bears. Zorn to the corner for Johns. And it is just off his fingertips, incomplete. Paul Johns, the second-year man from Tulsa, was a free agent a year ago, and right now still playing ahead of Roger Carr, who kind of figured to have that spot when he came over from Baltimore. There is Mike McCormick, and he's got this team playing loose and happy, and hopefully successfully. For Seattle fans, Brown into the ball game for the Seahawks, number 30, 4-year man from UCLA. It is 2nd and 10 at the Bears' 16. Opening minutes of play. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. Live from the Kingdome. Brown sweeping right. Cutting it back is pulled down by Dan Hampton. And that mobility of Hampton's showing itself again.
Well, he was just chasing the play from behind, and it was Hartenstein, number 73, who came across the line of scrimmage and forced the ball carrier back, and Hampton was able to get it from the backside. As you look at Mike Singletary, the middle linebacker, and Mike Ditka on the left. The head coach chews that gum. When he chews it fast, that means he's nervous.
No gain on the play. Good defensive work by the Bears. It'll bring up 3rd and 10. Big play for Seattle here with a chance to score early. Largent and Byron Walker, the rookie wide receiver from the Citadel, are both flanked to the left. Long count by Zorn, looking it over. He has the blitz on, and he flips it out to Dornick. Dornick with the blocker, cuts it back. He tripped over the 15-yard line, fell forward well short of the first down to about the 11 or 12, depending on where they mark it. And so it'll bring up 4th down with Frazier and Schmidt, the cornerbacks, combining on the stop.
The Seahawks had the right idea because there was plenty of pressure on Zorn. He just dipped it over to Dornick. Bruce Heron there almost got an illegal block against him as Dornick cuts back against the grain, can't quite maintain his balance, and does not get the first down. So we're going to have a field goal attempt.
Johnny, you know, Dornick, they had written him off for the season with a knee injury, and he made somewhat of a miraculous recovery, avoided surgery, and played well last week in the losing cause against the Raiders. It is Norm Johnson in to try it from the 20-yard line. A 30-yard pop that is good. And the Seahawks are on the scoreboard first with 9:57 remaining in the first period. A good drive for the Seahawks, and they lead it 3-0 here in the Kingdom. Well, it's a field goal day and a lot of bad weather around the NFL today. Mark Mosley had 4 field goals to account for all of the Redskins scoring as they beat St. Louis 12-7. New England won it on 1 field goal, 3-0 over Miami in a snowstorm up in New England. And we're back here with the Seattle Seahawks taking a 3-0 lead in good weather inside the Kingdome. And if you're wondering about the temperature here, well, it's about 69 to 72 degrees, somewhere in that range. The ball coming down, taken by Gentry from the Bears 1. Gentry is stopped right at the 10-yard line. Good coverage on the kickoff. Shelton Robinson, number 57, reserve linebacker, was the man to make the stop. 10-yard return for Gentry.
You mentioned the temperature, but outside it's raining. They have a lot.
Yes, now that's no news to people who live around the Seattle area, although the last 2 days have been brilliant beautiful sunshine, and maybe we got some of the credit for bringing it along with us. There's the weather outside, 42, inside 72. And the winds in here are very calm. All right.
Constance, the correct word, yes.
Exactly. Minnesota defeated Baltimore 13-10. And the Colts, looking for their first win, were in front in that game. We'll give you some more scores as quickly as we can. You're looking at Jim McMahon, the Bears' first ball game offensively, and Walter Payton is stopped behind the line of scrimmage by a stack of Seahawks. Middle of that defensive front, and linebacker Keith Butler, along with Tui Sissoko.
And we should give some credit to Bruce Schultz. He helps jam that up there and force Payton to cut back inside where the pursuit was there. So far, Payton hasn't seen too much running room.
Well, those 3 linebackers, active, agile, and quick.
And
Jackson,
Walter Payton,
Schultz,
this is hard to believe, Tim. He hasn't scored a touchdown since December 20th, 1981.
Bears have yet to throw the ball. They've had 4 consecutive running plays, interrupted only by Parsons' punt that led to John's 36-yard return. And the Seattle drive for the field goal. And Matt Suey is stopped at the 10-yard line. So, Johnny, the Bears evidently coming into the game feeling they could run against Seattle. Seattle probably expecting the Bears to try to run with Walter Payton and company. And so far, they haven't been able to run it.
They have not. And as you mentioned, they're first on pass defense, but I think 13th in the AFC against the run. So it would be a natural assumption for the Bears to try and establish a running game. They haven't been able to do that so far. Now we come into a passing situation, and let's see how that pass defense holds up. They stay in a regular 4-3.
Loss on that last play of about a half a yard. Seattle showing mainly a zone pass defense. They don't blitz very much, and they don't on this play. It's complete to Moorhead, but they quickly drop him well short of first down yardage. Jackson and Schultz, the linebackers, anticipating the play to the tight end well, and so the Bears once again will have to punt.
You can see the linebacker action as they drop off. They'll give him that short pass in front, and then they react, and you can see Jackson 55 and Schultz is in on the tackle. They'll give you that 6 or 7, but they're going to have to punt. Here's Jackson going back into his zone. Now watch how quickly he reacts to the short pass.
So it is 4th down with Paul Johns, who gave them a good 36-yard return on his first try. Now Parsons off the side of his foot, and it comes down on a fair catch, and watch right there, number 27, Gregory Johnson, making the fair catch, nearly dropped the ball. And Ricky Watts nearly had himself a fumble recovery, but the Seahawks again with good field position First down at their own 48-yard line after a 35-yard punt by Bob Parsons. So we have a timeout here in the Kingdome with the Seahawks in front, 3-0 first period.
And take a look at this score. Buffalo shut out the Steelers 13-0. That's 2 times in the last 3 weeks that Pittsburgh has been shut out. Guess who got a couple of field goals for the winners?
Efren Herrera, the former Seahawk.
Yes.
And then you saw the Jets over Tampa Bay 32-17. And Minnesota coming from behind to beat Baltimore 13-10. Rick Danmeyer had a 40-yard field goal. In fact, he had 2 field goals in that game. An awful lot of field goals figuring in the final scores today. All right, we are back here at the Kingdome where the Seahawks lead at 3-0 on a field goal by Thompson, and they have first down at their own 48. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris bringing you NFL action live from Seattle. The Bears with good pressure, but Zorn is complete to the tight end Metzelars, the rookie from Wabash. Number 3 choice in 1982, linebacker Gary Campbell making the hit after an 8-yard gain.
And so far the Bears have not blitzed too much. We were talking to some of the Seattle players yesterday, and they were expecting, even though the Bears didn't blitz last week, they have a history of all kinds of safety blitzes and linebacker blitzes, and they were wondering whether the Bears would revert to their old form or whether they would not blitz. So far the Bears have played it pretty straight.
It is 2nd and a long 2 from the 45-yard line of Chicago. Johns and Largent, the wide receivers. Johns split left, Largent right. And they give it to Sherman Smith, and he is dropped by the linebacker Singletary after a pickup of 1 short of the first down. Mike Singletary, Baylor man, making the stop.
And this is out of a 3-4 defense. Harris, number 90, was standing up, and you can see that Singletary just finds a little crease in there, nobody to block him, and he's one-on-one on Smith and makes the tackle. So the Bears went into a 3-4 with Harris, who is normally a defensive lineman, number 90, standing up and having to cover downfield.
Tice and Metzelars, double tight end for Seattle on 3rd and about 1.5 yards. And they give it to Sherman Smith, and he has the first down and then some inside the 40 to the 38-yard line of the Chicago Bears. And the first man to hit him was Todd Bell, number 25, along with the cornerback Terry Schmidt.
And that's what makes Sherman Smith valuable. That hole was jammed up as the Bears came across the line of scrimmage, and he was going to the left side off tackle, and he just slithered back to the inside, looked for the opening, and got the first down. Good individual running.
From the 38-yard line, Largent goes wide right. The big tight end, Tice, lines up on the right side, and Paul Johns is split left. One setback is Dorning, rolling his Zorn. Left-hander downfield has Largent open, and he threw it over his head. A pass too high. Largent open between Schmidt and Fensick, but it brings up 2nd down.
There's a young man who has caught passes for 1,000 yards for 4 straight years. Now that's something in the NFL. Several Pro Bowl appearances. Last year gained over 1,000 yards. Had 75 catches.
Well, the Seahawks in front here would like to break that little streak of losses against NFC teams, and meanwhile the Bears would like to make it 6 in a row over their cousins in the AFC. But the importance of this particular game, of course, means playoff.
It's a 3-4 defense now. You can see Harris, number 90, standing up.
2nd and 10, and the give is to number 30, Theodis Brown. Former UCLA star gets a couple. He is met by Gary Campbell.
It's pretty tough to run up there through the middle when they get into that 3-4 with those 2 linebackers inside and Harris standing up. So I think the Seahawks, if they keep seeing this 3-4, you might see them change up the strategy a little bit. As the Bears change their defense, as they usually do, 3 defensive backs come into the game. 1 linebacker, Bruce Herron. Otis Wilson comes out, Walter Scheid. So it's the pass prevent defense. Now let's see how the Seahawks go after it.
Among those defensive substitutions, the newcomer Walt Williams came over as a free agent from Minnesota week before last. Become the nickelback for the Bears. 3rd and about 9, and Zorn eludes 1 rusher, but not the next. The pressure came right up the middle from Hampton, and he was finally dropped by Al Harris, number 90. So the Bears did the job on 3rd down.
And it was Hampton who got through first. See the tackles crisscrossing the 2 white jersey. Here comes Hampton as they confuse the Seattle blocking. and Zorn was able to get out of that, but Al Harris, number 90, kept chasing and put the clamp on him. As Zorn goes down, the Seahawks will punt.
So in to kick it for the Seahawks, Jeff West, and fair catch is called at the 12-yard line by Jeff Fisher. And so the Bears will start again deep in their own end. It looks like they'll spot it at about the 13. So Mike McCormick happy that his club is still ahead by 3-0 with 4:15 to go first period.
Let's keep an eye on for if
we are back at the Kingdome in Seattle. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris with the Bears starting deep in their own end from the 13 where they spotted the ball. They've had it 3 times since the game began, and they've started from their own 20, then the 11, now the 13. So they have yet to throw a pass. Let's see what happens here. Jim McMahon, the quarterback. They set up a wing right with a very wide pro set. Suey and Payton running backs. They give it to Suey going back against the grain, and the Seahawks cover it well. He is stopped for a gain of maybe a yard. Jackson and Green, Jacob Green, hurt his knee last week, the defensive end, number 1 pick in 1980, but ready to go today, in on the action with the linebacker Michael Jackson.
This Seattle defense is tough, and you can always tell when the defense is kind of jacked up, you might say, because there have been 3 or 4 people in on every tackle. Nobody's saying, hey, he's got him, let him take him down. They're piling on.
A lot of enthusiasm, and so far the players themselves giving credit for that enthusiasm to Mike McCormick, the new head coach. It is 2nd and 8 for the Bears. In motion behind the ball, the tight end Moorhead. McMahon will throw for the first time today. He's got time, and he can't find a receiver. McMahon brings it upfield and out of bounds at the 16-yard line. Good coverage deep by this very highly regarded Seattle secondary.
That's one thing that the Seahawks are going to have to watch out for is McMahon. He has really shown a strong propensity to get outside of that pocket. As you look at Emery Moorhead get jammed and held a little bit there, not quite a legal play.
That was Schultz, the linebacker, and you can see Moorhead saying, hey, throw it to me, I'm loose now, but evidently at that moment his quarterback McMahon did not see him. Another final in Cincinnati over Cleveland. The Bengals 23-10 over the Browns. Joe Nash, the rookie free agent from Boston College, in the game, replacing Robert Hardy at left tackle defensively for Seattle. 3rd down and 7. Out of the shotgun, McMahon has the time. Deep sideliner, wide open over there is Bashnagel, and he has a first down for the Bears. Their first of the game out to the 35-yard line. Brown and Harris made the stop there, but he was wide open, Johnny.
He certainly was. The Bear went into a complete shotgun. Nobody in the backfield except the quarterback, and Bashnagel just went down the field and stopped in between the zone. And there was a little bit of mistake there somewhere, and I'm not sure who's responsible for the mistake, but nobody was covering Bashnagel, who hasn't caught a pass in a couple of games for Chicago.
18-yard pickup for the Bears and a first down for Bashnagel. A big play getting the Bears out there where they can breathe a little bit now at their own 35-yard line. Out of the eye, play action, deep drop from McMahon. They set up the screen for Payton. 2 blockers in front. Payton with a first down and a gain of about 19 yards into Seattle territory. They'll spot it at the 46-yard line of the Seahawks.
Good block by Dan Neal. That play really set up off to the right side, and you're going to see Dan Neal, number 52, the center, out to throw a block on Schultz. As McMahon, now as the Bears go to the air on first down, first time on first down, Payton will come right into your screen here, and you're going to see Dan Neal, number 52, and Bruce Schultz, number 58. That's the key block that's got to spring Payton. Payton pays off the block, Neal gets the block, and then Payton does the rest of it on his own as he dipsy-doos, high steps it, high knees it, and gets a big gain for Chicago.
Significant injury that Bears fans will hope is minor. Perry Hartnett, who started for the injured Jeff Williams, who is not even here today, just came limping off, the rookie from SMU, and that brings in Kurt Becker, yet another rookie at guard, number 79. So this could be a problem for the Bears as the game develops. Walter Payton right up the middle, gets to the 41-yard line for a gain of 5, maybe 6 yards on the play. And it was Kenny Easley along with Jacob Green, number 79, making the hit. There is Hartnett receiving some treatment from the trainers.
Of course, Reeve Sorey was injured early in the season, and he's not eligible to play, so the Bears are having to makeshift line. Dennis Lick is out, and
Albrecht, of course.
Albrecht is out.
And a tough year for that offensive line with the injuries. 2nd and 5 for Chicago in Seattle territory. Scott and Baschnagel are the wide receivers. In motion is Payton off the wing. Matt Suey trying the left tackle side is met at the line, and with some second effort, a loose ball and also some additional activity. Maybe it wasn't a loose ball at all that started that, but there was a scuffle, looked like a rugby scrum, and Noah Jackson was right in the thick of things, and there's still some angry words being exchanged down there. Middle linebacker Michael Jackson, the 4-year man from the University of Washington.
And Becker was trying to get in on the fumble, and Robert Hardy just pulled him out of the pile and said, stay out of it. He wasn't going to let him get involved. Let's see what the call is.
Now, this is the first infraction of the game, and here is referee Gene Barth with the word on it.
We have offsetting personal fouls, 55 defense, 65 offense. The down counts. The down counts.
All right. Instead of replaying the down, since those were personal foul penalties, the down counts. It'll be 3rd and 2. Let's look at it again.
Okay, there's Noah Jackson, 65, and you're going to see Michael Jackson, 55, and they're just kind of pushing each other around, and oh, whoa, boy, what a shot. Noah Jackson knocked Jackson's helmet right off. We couldn't see that from the scramble, but we saw it on that one.
We sure did. Well, I tell you, Mr. Jackson is lucky the referee didn't levy a sterner penalty on him. He is still in the football game. It is 3rd and 2. Bears swing it out for Payton. Blockers in front.
Trying to throw.
And he will throw. He's got a man wide open. Baschnagel, touchdown. Payton to Baschnagel. What a play. And Brian Baschnagel, as he looked up, saw the ball over his shoulder. Meanwhile, there is a fight back out at midfield. And I want to tell you, 2 keyed up teams. And it's Michael Jackson again. Now, if he faces ejection from this, what a blow that would be to the Seahawks. His teammates trying to cool him off. Hardy trying to cool him down. And if he is thrown out of the game, that would be a significant blow.
We got a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 55 defense. The touchdown counts, will penalize on the kickoff.
Well, Jackson has not been ejected, but there will be a penalty against the Seahawks. There is Michael Jackson. Boy, is he pumped up for this game, a little too much so.
Oh,
whoa!
Oh,
going to break a hand doing that.
That's right. He took care of the bench. But the key on the play was the fact that they pitched it out to Payton, and I think the Seahawks thought it was a pass, a quick pass, but we'll double check it. It was a lateral play, even though it was an overhand pass by McMahon to Payton, and that's where the Seahawks went for it and came up to get Payton, and he was able to throw on the run about 50 yards down the field to Baschnagel.
39-yard play from the line of scrimmage, and Baschnagel, I thought, did a fine job looking up, seeing the ball on the other side, adjusted and made the catch in the end zone, and he holds for Rivetto as he knocks it through, and the Chicago Bears have gone in front 7-3. Well, we talked yesterday with Michael Jackson, a very nice young man who's just a little too excited today.
Now you can see that was a lateral play, and everybody went for Payton once the pass looked like a pass to them, and he threw that ball off balance and over the top of Baschnagel's head. Nice grab, touchdown, Chicago.
And you know, the man who was making the tackle on Payton was Michael Jackson. We'll be back. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris. We're looking at very disconsolate at this moment Michael Jackson on the Seattle bench, and we'll go back to that play. Watch number 55 Jackson at Payton.
And here it is. Payton throws the ball. It's gone, and Jackson goes right for his head. And that is a no-no, and he deserves to get the penalty. The pass went 50 yards in the air by Payton to Baschnagel.
So the Bears will kick it off. There is number 4, John Rivetto, and we've had some early excitement here with 1:26 to go first period. The Bears leading at 7-3 on the touchdown pass. Payton to Baschnagel. This is Lane. Lane is just tripped up at the 15-yard line and goes forward to about the 21. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or the use of a telecast without the express written consent of the Seahawks and the NFL is prohibited. There you see the drive. 87 yards in 7 plays. 39-yard touchdown pass. And we've seen Waller throw the ball before. We know he can throw it, but that was maybe as long as we've seen him connect on a scoring pass. A beauty. 39 yards from the line of scrimmage.
And that will certainly help his end runs from now on also.
It is first down for Seattle from their own 20-yard line. Roger Carr and Largent are both out wide left. They give it to Brown, cutting into the middle. He is met just over the line of scrimmage. Otis Brown. Gary Campbell is there, Dan Hampton, and Osborne.
You know, we talked to Michael yesterday for a good half hour. He seemed very relaxed, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Very confident about how they would defense the Chicago Bears today. A very delightful young man, and what a part of that young Seattle defense he has been, as we see Walter Payton, the passer. Well, they did give me the ball. Told me to throw it, but they did give me the ball. 2nd and 8 for Seattle. Out of the pro set, Roger Carr is wide left. Drawing a little movement from the Bears, but they got back in time. This is Hughes, number 46. Boise State, David Hughes, the number 2 pick a year ago. Hartenstein making the tackle. Hughes picked up 7 on the play. It'll bring up 3rd and about 2. Well, next Saturday, more Saturday afternoon NFL action here on CBS. The Rams and the Raiders, the Battle of Los Angeles, at least for next week, 3:30 Eastern Time. Continued news about the Raiders' legal problems. May still find themselves back in Oakland, but next week it is the Battle of L.A. 3:30 Eastern Time on CBS. And that brings the first quarter to a conclusion here at the Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, where we have had some early excitement of all kinds. The score at the end of one, the Chicago Bears 7, Seattle 3.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by the wine cellars of Ernest and Julio Gallo. Minolta, creator of the exciting new program system X700 camera. And by Radio Shack, the computer experts with over 6,500 locations nationwide.
No rain or snow indoors at the Kingdome, where the Seattle Seahawks have a 3rd and 1 here from their own 30-yard line as we begin the second period, and Detroit has walloped Green Bay 30-10. Eddie Murray with 3 field goals in the winning cause.
This is a perfect time for a pass. Seattle has got the courage to go ahead and do it on 3rd and 1.
Michael and Bell, defensive substitutions for the Bears, and they try to run it with Hughes. He is stacked up by Wilson. Appeared to me to have the first down. Otis Wilson, the linebacker, first man to meet him. And it is first down, Seattle. The Seahawks opened the scoring on their first offensive series after a 36-yard punt return by Johns. A 30-yard field goal by Norm Johnson gave them the early lead, and then it was Peyton to Bashnagel, 39-yard touchdown throw. Cincinnati, as we reported earlier, whipping Cleveland today 23-10. Roger Carr, Steve Largent, wide receivers for the Seahawks. Carr split out to the left. Long count by Zorn. Play action. Quick sideliner is short to Largent. He had enough pressure from Osborne that he appeared to me, Johnny, to throw the ball maybe a split second sooner than he wanted to, and it came up short.
You hit it exactly right. Osborne, number 68, was bearing down, and Zorn had to get rid of it, so he more or less dumped it quickly just to avoid the loss, and he's good at that.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. Tice goes out. Metzelar is in at tight end, number 88. Gornink back in at fullback, number 33. Medical student now. Graduate of Washington State. Picked up from the New York Giants in a trade, 1979. And attending a medical school in the off-season. 2nd and 10. Wing right for the Seahawks, who've shown a number of offensive looks in the early going. Zorn has time. He hits Largent, but he is covered well and dropped immediately after a gain of only a couple. Gary Campbell, number 59, was right there on the case, along with Gary Fensick, number 45. It'll be 3rd and about 8.
You can see the linebacker action as Largent goes across there in that shallow territory, but Campbell came off his coverage, number 59, to make the tackle. And I'm surprised that they haven't spread their people more here. Now they've got everybody spread out now.
It is 3rd down and about 8 to go with a wing right, a slot formation right, pardon me, with a wide pro set here. And again, a long count by Zorn. It takes a real good look at that Bears defense. Gets some time and goes deep. He's got Carr open, and it's just overthrown. Roger Carr had a step on Leslie Frazier, and Zorn did not miss by much with the bomb. Well, the speedster Roger Carr, an interesting hearing from both Zorn and Coach McCormick that it's taken Roger Carr coming over from Baltimore a little time to work into the offense. They run patterns differently here than they did in Baltimore, but he played well last week.
And that pass went well over 60 yards in the air. Had he thrown it a little bit more to the inside, they could have had a completion.
A high punt by West. The flag is down as he was dropped. A loose ball, Gentry fumbling it back at his own 25. The Seahawks say they have it. Well, Dennis Gentry, who has had some trouble handling the football on punts, has coughed one up here. A flag is down back in the Seattle backfield, and let's wait and see what the call is downfield.
Mike Ditka is livid on the sidelines because he, I am sure, wanted Jeff Fisher back on the punt return. He wanted to know why Gentry was back there. He's not quite, Gentry is more explosive, but he's not quite as sure-handed on catching those punts, and Ditka apparently was very surprised to see Gentry back there.
Running into the kicker, penalty refused. First down. You want to give it to him?
Well, there was a penalty for running into the kicker. They didn't say who the culprit was, but that doesn't matter. Here's Gentry mishandling the punt, and he is hit immediately by Dufek, number 25, and the ball squirming loose, and it's going to be picked up by Ken McAllister, reserve defensive back number 48. And Seattle in great field position here, trailing 7-3 early in the second period from the Bears 26. Slot formation right. Zorn, quick drop to Dornick out of the backfield. Dornick picking up about 7 before he is dropped. 3 Bears there. Otis Wilson, Fensick, and number 50 Singletary.
Pretty good running by Dornick there. He had 3 men. He knew he wasn't going to get anywhere. He wasn't going to deke anybody out, so he put a couple of little dekes on and went straight ahead and got himself an extra 3 or 4 yards as the Supersonics had a big break there, because I know it was a miscommunication. I'm sure that Jeff Fisher was supposed to be back on that Supersonics, did I say?
Supersonics were in our hotel last night, but
That's
but
right.
it's the Seahawks who played football.
Right.
Well, you had the right city,
Yeah,
that's all right.
that's right.
Second and 3. Dornick with a good piece of running, as Johnny said after he caught the ball. Picks up 8.
Oh.
And straight ahead, Theodis Brown has first down yardage. And it was Hartenstein putting the stop on him, but power running by Theo Brown. So the Seahawks, threatening to take the lead, are now at the 15, inside the 15 of Chicago. 4-yard pickup. There's Mike McCormick.
His record as a head coach is not all that great, but he's been in some bad situations. At Baltimore, it was a bad, nobody would have made that team a winner, the way the situation was in Baltimore.
We have 11:50 to go, second period, with the Seahawks on the march. Following the fumbled punt reception by Dennis Gentry. Far right, Largent left. Little play action, rolling Zorn. Zorn back against the grain of Metzelar's a tight end, and Otis Wilson makes an outstanding defensive play. Otis Wilson hauling down Metzelar's right at the line of scrimmage. Indeed, there may be a loss on the play of a yard.
Good play by Otis Wilson, because a whole bunch of linemen were out there. Had they, as you can see, Zorn on the rollout, they pick all the action, goes back here to the left, and then Zorn turns back around and throws back across the field. And Otis was all by himself there, and he had to make the tackle. He got away from August and made the tackle.
So it is second down and 11 for Seattle, as we see Otis Wilson getting a breather. The third-year man from Louisville doing a good defensive job. Largent, Walker, and Carr all in at wide receiver. Quarterback run. He will score. Jim Zorn. Well, we saw Jim Zorn practicing that play. The Seahawks practice, and he just ran it to perfection with excellent blocking. 15-yard touchdown.
They just spread everybody out and then just went right up the middle. The line just pushed the Bears as they went into that twist, and he went straight up the middle. He even had an escort into the end zone. Robert Pratt also gets part of that touchdown because he ran all the way down the field with Jim Zorn.
Norm Johnson will attempt the point after. Zorn will hold. And it is blocked. A flag down on the play. There were about 3 Bears that just shredded that line of Seattle's on the point after play. And Johnson had no opportunity to get the ball up, but a flag is down, and one might guess perhaps offside the way they came through. There was practically no resistance.
Either they were offsides or the Seattle line said, come on through, fellas.
We got unsportsmanlike conduct, 57 defense. He used a teammate to gain leverage to block the kick. We'll try it again.
Well, that was Al Chesley, the recently acquired linebacker, him coming over from Philadelphia, and he must have pushed off of somebody, leaped up, and that is illegal, so they'll get another try. We'll see if we can bring that one back to you, but meanwhile, let's watch the second try by Johnson.
I bet he doesn't do it again.
And Johnson nails it. And so the Seahawks have quickly retaken the lead. And with 10:45 to go in the first half, they lead it 10-7. And there you see, well, it looks like Wilson 55, but apparently ahead of him was 57 if the officials were correct, Al Chesley. And so the Seahawks have taken a 3-point lead.
Okay, here's why that play, that quarterback draw, worked. Watch Jim Osborne over the center, and 99 is Hampton. He will go to the right. They're going to try to do a crisscross, and they run themselves right out of the play as John Yarno, 51, takes them both out. And here is 61, Robert Pratt, saying, nobody to block. I'm going with you, Mr. Zorn. We're going in there. 3 points apiece. Touchdown, Seattle.
Maybe he was hoping for a lateral there from Zorn. So we have 10:45 to go here in the Kingdome. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, we have had some exciting football. A Peyton to Bashnagel 39-yard touchdown pass. We had a linebacker punching a bench. And we had Jim Zorn scoring on a quarterback draw. Into the end zone, Ricky Watts, having bobbled that ball, will not bring it out. And it went all the way back to the end line. So the Bears will start from their own 20-yard line. And they are now down by 3 following Zorn's touchdown carry. And there is the drive by the Seahawks, and that followed, remember, the fumbled punt by Gentry, pardon me. And in 4 plays, Seattle went 26 yards, used up 2:23 on the clock, and took the lead. So let's see what the Bears come up with offensively here. They felt that they could run against this Seattle team. They have not done so effectively so far. Jim McMahon brings them out in a pro set. Now they're behind by 3 points, as they were early on the field goal by Johnson. And they're going to stay with the game plan on this play. Suey, and he gets some running room out the right side, picking up maybe 6 on the play.
I don't see Michael Jackson, do you?
Well,
I think maybe he was possibly ejected from the game.
Well, I would think that unless he's hurt, he would be in there, and unless he was ejected. We had no announcement on that, but we'll certainly check it. They have Shelton Robinson from North Carolina. The rookie is in a converted tight end, and he is in at that middle linebacker spot. And as I said, were he to be ejected, that would be a big blow to the Seattle defense. He is the main man in the middle. McMahon is 3 for 3 passing. He's got a 2nd and 4 here. Let's see what the Bears come up with. Bashnagel in motion behind the ball. And he throws, getting pressure on Jack. Back inside the 15. Jacob Green, number 79, the 3rd-year man from Texas A&M.
Let's take a look at the pass blocking as McMahon goes back, and Green gets to the inside of Perry Hartnett and inside of Keith Van Horn, and both defensive linemen on the left side made outside moves and came to the inside and still got McMahon. Green, of course, you know, hurt his knee last week, but he's okay. There's Jackson. Apparently he's not hurt that I can see. I think he might have been ejected.
All right, it is 3rd down and 15 for the Chicago Bears. Pushed back deep in their own end once again. They have not had good field position in this football game. And a little fancy again there out of the shotgun. Peyton gets the handoff and gets back close to the original line of scrimmage, but no more. And he is met by 3 or 4 blue shirts, led by Shelton Robinson, who's in there in Jackson's middle linebacker spot. Pickup of only 2 on the play as they mark it. It is 4th and 13, and we are informed that Jackson was indeed not ejected, and Mike McCormick has just elected to go with Robinson, perhaps try and get Jackson calmed down. Parsons standing inside his 5-yard line. He'll punt it for the Bears. Good defensive series for Seattle. Paul Johns catching at his own 37-yard line, stumbles a bit, and then is dropped right at the 40. First man there was Ricky Watts, number 80. 45-yard punt, 3-yard return, and the Seahawks will be starting from their own 40-yard line. 8:32 remaining in this first half.
These two teams have played each other only twice in regular season play. Each team has won once.
So the Seattle Seahawks holding a 3-point lead. We'll be back. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back here in Seattle. We take a look at that Washington score. 4 Mark Mosley field goals, beating St. Louis 12-7. The Giants beat Philadelphia yesterday 23-7. And that brings up this interesting matchup next week here on CBS. Next Sunday, St. Louis at Chicago, and the Giants will be at Washington, 12:30 Eastern Time. And of course, Washington, the Redskins are now 5-1. That puts them atop the NFC standings. Green Bay lost today to fall to 4-2. And here in Seattle, from the 40-yard line, the Seahawks are first down. Zorn, a short drop, and it's blocked and nearly picked off by Al Harris. The big man got his hands up there as that pass was intended out on the sideline, presumably to Roger Carr. But Al Harris cut it off about 3 feet from the quarterback.
Yeah, Al says, let me know when you're going to throw it so quick. Number 90 is Al Harris. He's very tall, and he sees a little short out pass that was going to go to Roger Carr, and he batted it down like a fly swatter.
Looked a little bit like Ralph Sampson there, or Patrick Ewing.
Ron Essick had him, too, in case he did hang on to that ball.
So it is 2nd and 10 for Seattle. They come out in a wing formation, a slot left and a wing on the right.
Everybody spread out. You can see all the Bear defensive backs up very tight on the receivers.
3 wide receivers, Largent, Walker, Carr. Zorn goes to the sideline. It is complete to Steve Largent, number 80, and he picks up about 6 on the play. They'll mark it at the 45-yard line of Seattle. And it was Walt Williams, number 43, making the tackle, the recent acquisition out of New Mexico State.
Okay, now watch him go to the outside, try and drive him off, and then come back for the short pass. Pretty good move there by Largent, as Walt Williams was covering man for man. However, the Bears will play a deep safety like Gary Fensick is way downfield, and if you end up running him up, then you're running into double coverage.
So it is 3rd down and a long 4, we'll call it. Slot formation right for Seattle. Hughes and Sherman Smith, the running backs. They swing it out, and nearly a one-handed grab by David Hughes, but not a good pass from the quarterback, Jim Zorn. Hughes did not really have a chance to hang on to that ball. So that'll bring up 4th down, and Seattle will be kicking it away.
And in this case, it's a good thing he didn't catch the ball, because he was so off stride he would have gotten a loss. He wouldn't have maintained his balance, and they'd have lost 3 or 4 yards. So he made a nice effort, but no cigar.
Johnny, Mike Ditka told us that Jeff Fisher would probably be returning the punts today. He was not out there, as you pointed out, when Gentry dropped it, but Fisher is there now, which should come as no great shock. This one he won't get to return, and it is down by the Seahawks at about the 10 or 11-yard line. It took a bounce back upfield. Good kick. Eugene Williams downing the ball, a 43-yarder by Jeff West. And so again, the Bears find themselves starting from deep in their own end, and that's been a problem in this first half. College football championship action next week. Delaware and Eastern Kentucky. You know, Eastern Kentucky's been in this ballgame the last 3 years, and Delaware always an exciting college football team to see. Of course, Scott Bruner, the Giants quarterback, came out of there. It all starts at 12 noon Eastern Time with a special edition of the NCAA Today on CBS Sports. So the Bears starting after that good kick by West, and Payton right up the middle has first down yardage and gets out to the 25-yard line. What a big hole up the middle. Neal and Hartnett, who's back in at right guard, and Noah Jackson. Boy, they opened a big one for him.
I still maintain that Payton runs better from the I formation. You get him a little depth there. As you can see, good block by Hartnett to create the big hole. And Keith Van Horn and Emery Moorhead both kept their men out as Payton bursted through the hole, almost broke it, and heading for that 10,000-yard mark.
13-yard pickup for Walter Payton, and a first down for the Bears at the 25-yard line. The Seahawks continue to lead at 10-3. Out of the shotgun, intended for James Scott, incomplete.
That time they had Scott running the quick post and Payton flaring out into the flat from the wing. So I'm sure we're going to see that play again. But with Payton going out into the wing, as McMahon says to Walter, were you ready just in case? Because James Scott wasn't.
Linebacker Keith Butler and cornerback Dave Brown were there on the coverage. Payton has rushed 5 times for 21 yards, and more importantly to the score, he has passed for the only touchdown scored by Chicago to Brian Baschnagel. It is 10-7 Seattle. 2nd and 10 out of the I. Marjoram and Baschnagel, the wide receivers, and again it's Walter Payton over the 30-yard line. So now their running attack starting to take some effect here. 2 consecutive gainers, a 7-yard pickup this time for Payton.
And I mentioned that Payton in his comments last week that he wants to carry the ball. It's not so much that, you know, a lot of times you think you're trying to diversify, and the Bears are. Ditka is trying to diversify this team like the Dallas multiple type offense, but Payton is a player who doesn't like to have 3 or 4 minutes between carries. He feels that he has a rhythm in his body and he wants to carry it, so they're going to have to come to grips with that whole situation.
3rd and a long 2. Suey is stopped short. And the first man there was Hardy, Robert Hardy, the left tackle, number 75. And also Manu Tuiasosopo, the right tackle, getting in on it. Number 74, the 4-year man out of UCLA. One of many number 1 picks on this defense.
Okay, Suey breaks off, and there's the tackle by number 75. Hardy's in on it.
Hardy, the first man there.
The entire first half, as opposed to where the Bears have started the ball. This will be one time that their field position will not be very good.
Here's the official word.
Number 22, illegal push in the back on the return, 1st down.
That's cornerback Dave Brown, who pushed a man from behind. Mike McCormick says, well, that ain't going to help anything. That's Howard Mudd, one of his respected assistants on the left, a former Bear. 5:28 to go, first half. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back in Seattle. We see the Los Angeles Raiders are leading Kansas City 7-3 in the 2nd period. And the Los Angeles Rams shutting out Denver at this point also in the 2nd quarter, 14-0. And of course they will meet each other on our Saturday edition of NFL football next week on CBS. The Rams and the Raiders, Battle of Los Angeles at 3:30 Eastern time. This is the worst spot that the Seahawks have had to start from so far in the football game, Johnny, with 5:28 remaining. They'll be starting from their own 17-yard line following that penalty that set them back on the 4th down play. But so far, defense has dominated pretty much as we expected on the part of both teams. A big play by the Bears, a big play by Seattle, accounting for the score.
And you notice now that Seattle is really spreading their receivers out. They didn't do that the first few series of the game.
We have 3 wide receivers in, Largent, Walker, and Carr. Zorn on a straight deep drop up the middle, complete to David Hughes out of the backfield, and he has a first down. It'll be Singletary and Campbell getting credit for the tackle. David Hughes, the Boise State fullback.
Hurry up offense. We're not that late in the 2nd quarter. 5:11 to go, but the Supersonics want to keep the Bears off balance. Supersonics. God, I keep calling them
You're a
Supersonics.
basketball fan, I can tell. First down. And Zorn again with the deep drop, and it's almost intercepted. He was off mark, intended for Theodis Brown out of the backfield. Campbell nearly had himself an intercept. A flag is down, farther downfield on the right side.
And it looks like it's going to go against Chicago. Gary Fensick is arguing about it, and I know his argument is something to the effect that it was away from the play, had no bearing. We'll have to see.
It was a long way away from the play, but
yes, it was.
Depends on what the infraction was. Let's see.
Illegal contact, 55 defense. It's a 1st down.
Illegal contact charge against Otis Wilson. That would be similar to an interference. Somebody probably giving a man a second bump on his
or hitting him deeper than 5 yards down the field.
So Fisher, Williams, and Heron all come in the pass defense on 1st down for the Seattle Seahawks, and the Bears looking for a pass here. Instead, Seattle with Brown going straight ahead. Picks up about 3, maybe 4. Mike Hartenstein, number 73, makes the stop, and they hurry it up again.
And they still with everybody spread out, so they're trying to control the Bear blitzes by doing this. They started out not doing it this way, so That's what their tactic is. You can see it coming.
2nd and 7. Deep drop for Zorn. He's got Dornick out of the backfield. The flag is down behind the line of scrimmage. Dornick is tripped up by Fisher and finished off by Heron. He is down at the Bears' 49-yard line, but a holding call against Seattle. Tough break for the Seahawks there off a well-executed play.
So one of the offensive linemen, and the pass went so quickly you didn't need to hold. They couldn't have got there in time anyway, so it's really what you call a needless penalty.
65 offense, holding.
That is Edwin Bailey, the left guard, second-year man from South Carolina State.
He's right to the right of your screen. He's blocking on Dan Hampton, 99. And they're getting him for getting his arm around, wrapping the arm around Hampton. Right there, you've got him on the hold. That's a good call.
Well, that Hampton's a handful for anybody.
That's right.
You can't blame Bailey for doing what he can, but it cost him. McMichael is in defensively. 6 Bears are lined up along the line of scrimmage. Zorn, quick drop this time. He's got Largent open. A diving grab by Steve Largent. The Bears say that the ball touched the turf. It appeared to us that it was a good reception, and the official on the play much closer also saw it that way. Back judge Jimmy Rosser. So it is first down for Seattle, a 19-yard gain by the glue-fingered Steve Largent. Slot right for Seattle. On the move with 4 minutes remaining first half. And now Zorn calling out the play, both sides. And they did not go to a huddle again. Quick drop to the quarterback throw, and he's got all kinds of room. Zorn slides in as he's met by Fensick at the 26-yard line, 36-yard line of the Chicago Bears.
And that was a planned quarterback draw again as the Bears ran themselves right out of the coverage. They were concerned about the pass. And look at the gap over the center. Both defensive tackles went to the outside, and there it is. John Yarno says, "I'm with you." And Fensick really gave a pop to Zorn.
20-yard pickup, and he has now got 35 yards on 2 of those quarterback draws. Again, calling out the play to his wide receivers. This is a fun football game we got going here. 3:16 to go in the first half of play. Seattle by 3. They're at home in the Kingdome. Screening outside, perfect inside. Long count by Zorn, checking out that Bears defense. And he's got Largent open. Largent away from Schmidt. It's hauled down by Fensick at the 2-yard line of the Bears. Oh, did he turn Schmidt around?
Well, he took a long time to call the play, and everybody heard the call because he had to call it at the line of scrimmage. And he saw the Bears bunched up in the middle of the line, went for Largent on the quick post. He had man-for-man situation. You can see the Bears on a delayed blitz. Largent's here to the right of your screen. He's going to grab it 44. Schmidt will come for the tackle. And 45, Gary Fensick saved the touchdown as Largent put the deke on Schmidt. But the Seahawks are down to the 2.5-yard line, first down.
Bears with 6 down linemen. First and goal for Seattle. Hughes and Brown, the running backs. Largent in motion. They give it to Brown. Brown trying to get wide, and he's dropped for a loss. And it was Mike Singletary slashing through to pull him down behind the line. A loss of 5 on the play. Good defensive play by the young middle linebacker.
And boy, does it change the situation too. Whenever you go wide on your two-yard line, you get that pursuit from the inside. Singletary, number 50, and Dan Hampton, number 99, both in on the tackle. And that just changes the whole situation now. They can't run the ball over. You got to run straight ahead when you're down to the 2-yard line, or at least somewhere between inside the tackles rather than wide. I don't care what they say.
2-minute warning has sounded here at the Kingdome, and so we'll be back momentarily as the Seattle Seahawks threatening to open their lead. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, we are in Seattle, Washington, the beautiful Northwest, and the Seahawks suffering a 5-yard loss on the wide run by Theotis Brown. And one would guess if they're going to run, they might as well let Zorn do it. He's got 35 yards. He got more than the rest of them have.
That's right. He has 35. The rest of the backs have 27 for a total of 62 yards as Brent Nerver coming up at halftime. And now we have the Bears are expecting them to throw the ball. They've got their pass defense in, all kinds of defensive backs.
Philadelphia coach Dick Vermeil will be live in our studios with Brent Nerve when we complete the half here in Seattle. And a quick drop by Zorn, and he has a man open And it is Byron Walker, the rookie from the Citadel, a free agent coming off the college campus, and he scores a big one.
And it's Todd Bell, who was a safety, having to cover the quick wide receiver. As he went down, they made the initial contact, and he busted away from Todd Bell, number 25, and took it in for the touchdown, but they got the old mismatch. You got a safety covering a wide receiver.
First touchdown for the rookie from the Citadel, and it'll be Norm Johnson trying to pick up the point after. And he does. So the Seahawks have the Bears in a bit of a hole here as we are coming near the end of the first half of play. There's the happy young man. Seattle leads it 17-7.
Let's take a look at the center of that defensive line. Watch 99, Hampton, and 68, Osborne. They kind of stay home. Are they thinking about that little quarterback draw? They don't really run anywhere. They're just waiting there. And Walker does his job on Todd Bell. And the Bears have been getting caught in some mismatches the last couple of games. And it cost them a touchdown this time.
And let's give due credit to Byron Walker. We are told that that is touchdown number 2 via the pass to the rookie from the Citadel. So it is 17-7. And the kickoff by Johnson is taken by Gentry. Gentry up the middle takes a real rap at the 23-yard line. Bounced off but got no farther. Eric Lane, reserve running back number 37, with a good hit. 15-yard return. So the Bears will be starting from their own 24.
Okay, let's watch number 37, Lane, come in here and really put the pop on Gentry right there. He hit him right where the ball is, too. Gentry did a good job of hanging on to the ball and not losing it. Good, tough tackling by the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes, he did. The Raiders now lead Kansas City 7-6. A pair of Lowry field goals for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Rams out in front of Denver 21-0. Out of the shotgun, McMahon. Bashnagel, and it is incomplete. He was hit by 2 backs, and McMahon was also hit, and he is down. The linebacker, Butler, was deep on the coverage along with Keith Simpson, number 42, and they put quite a pop on Bashnagel, and he could not hold on.
And it's number 77, as you said, Jeff Bryant, who hit McMahon afterwards. And I think that it was 42. I think it was Keith Simpson who put the hit on Bashnagel as a kind of a wobbly pass. No, it wasn't.
Easily 45.
Easily, yes.
And Simpson 42.
You never know. He was hurt a couple of weeks ago the way he hit him that time.
McMahon 3 for 5 now and 43 yards. Only 5 passes with 1:46 remaining in the first half. And he is going to be sacked. Well, he gets the ball out. Nice try, but will he be called for grounding? No. Nearly sacked. Bryant and Hardy with the heat on the rookie from BYU.
Well, the Seahawks are claiming that he just threw that ball to avoid a sack, which is partially true, but then Payton was the receiver who was in the area. But however, that doesn't necessarily mean that the official cannot rule intentional grounding. Even if there is a receiver near it, if he feels in judgment that he intentionally threw the ball to avoid a sack.
I think Mike McCormick thinks so, and some of his assistants as well. Third down for the Chicago Bears. Seahawks doing the job defensively. Shorter drop, and that pass presumably intended for Moorhead. If so, it was badly overthrown. Again, there was pressure on McMahon.
Moorhead broke to the outside. I think McMahon thought he was going to break to the inside, so there may have been a mix-up on signals between the two, as Mike Ditka doesn't like the roar of that sound, as the Seahawk fans are excited knowing that Seattle has another chance to score before halftime, because there's still 1:36 left in the first half.
So Parsons in to punt again, standing at his own 8-yard line. Deep man is Johns. Paul Johns. And a high punt by Parsons. Fair catch signaled by Johns, and takes it at the 30-yard line. Ricky Watts was down on the coverage, and he just kept running for a little exercise, wound up all the way in the end zone. 1:28 remaining here in the first half of play. Seattle leads at 17-7. The preceding message was brought to you by the National Football League. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Brent Nerve with scores and highlights. Every game important in this playoff picture, and Dick Vermeil, coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, will be live in our studios, joining Brent, Nerve, and company. First down from the 30-yard line for Seattle.
And I think you've got to give McCormick some credit for some of the moves that he made when he came back. You know, he inserted Zorn right back in there and said he's been too good a quarterback for too long, that to be beaten out in one exhibition season. And I think that's pretty good logic, because Craig has done fine, but you know, Zorn has a track record.
3 wide receivers in, 6 defensive backs. They go to Smith out of the backfield. He's tripped up at the 35, gets forward to the 38. And Jeff Fisher was there along with Heron to make the stop. Atlanta now leading New Orleans 14-0. Hurry up offense here for Seattle on 2nd and 4. Slot formation right, and Zorn running out of time. Hartenstein, a diving shoestring tackle by big Mike Hartenstein, drops him for a loss.
Hartenstein did a good job. Steve August is going to be blocking on him. You see him here to the left of the screen now as Hartenstein gets by August, and then Zorn takes off, and Hartenstein with a good diving tackle. Nice play.
3rd down and 11 now for Seattle. Again, slot right. Quick pass out of the backfield. Sherman Smith once more. Well covered by Fisher. Jeff Fisher, the 2nd-year man from USC. It gained about 6, maybe 7 on the play. It'll bring up 4th down, and the Seahawks take their first time out with 43 seconds on the clock. They lead 17-7. What would you think here, Johnny, that they would not punt it away? Well, here comes the punting unit.
Yeah, they'll punt. I don't know why they called the timeout.
I'm not sure
forced
either.
The Bears to call the timeout rather than call it yourself.
Maybe Jim Zorn was going to try and talk his coach into trying to keep the ball there. Meanwhile, next Saturday, you're going to see the Rams and the Raiders at 3:30 Eastern Time here on CBS Sports. Rams, of course, with Ferragamo still going for the injured Burt Jones. And the Raiders, who had to struggle last week to beat Seattle. They had a 28-0 lead, nearly lost it to the plucky Seahawks. Sunday, the Chicago Bears will be at home against the Cardinals. Johnny and I will be back there, and what we expect will be a little cooler weather than we have here. And the Giants will be at Washington. That's also part of the NFL Today on CBS next Sunday. Fisher is the man back to receive the punt from Jeff West, and he signals fair catch at the Bears 20-yard line. 35 seconds on the clock. So Jim McMahon, after that 44-yard punt by West, will try to get the Bears quickly downfield. They are trailing by 10 points, and head coach Mike Ditka would like very much to see them get something before the end of the half.
Well, let's see. It'll be interesting if they do go for something. Let's see what I think. When you're down 17-7, you might as well give it a shot. You got 35 seconds. You'd need 2 completions to get down in field goal, and 2 decent completions. And there are a lot of coaches who'll say, hey, let's go back in the locker room and forget it.
I don't think that's any fun at all when you do that.
That's right.
Go for it. Marjoram out to the left. Batchnickel right. Okay, and they're going to go for it. Out of the backfield to Suey. Suey will have a first down and gets out of bounds. Good play by Suey, and what a block by Payton.
Right. Oh, boy, and it could be a serious injury. I shouldn't say that without knowing, but Keith Butler went down, and he got him right around the knees on a nice block by Payton, but unfortunately it caught Butler in a bad spot.
Butler is the 5-year man from Memphis State, their number 2 pick in '78, and we mentioned earlier that with Michael Jackson and Bruce Schultz, he gives them an outstanding young group of linebackers. And Shelton Robinson, a rookie from North Carolina who came in when Michael Jackson got a little bench time from McCormick earlier, also is a good prospect. And here comes the coach himself out to check on the injured player, Keith Butler. And this is something that the players here in Seattle have been talking about to their local media and the national media, that they appreciate McCormick's concern in situations like this. And Butler perhaps got a little of the healing grace from the coach there. He just leapt right up and left the field.
Yeah, they said that
maybe
McCormick
he's a faith dealer. Well, you may have heard the referee, Gene Barth. We could not hear him too well, but it was an injury timeout, I believe, so would not be charged against Seattle. They have taken 1. Eugene Williams has come in to replace Butler, number 54. Williams, a rookie from Tulsa. And Walter Payton is What happened on that play?
Well, it was an inside handoff off the shotgun to Payton. They were trying to almost like
False
a draw.
start, 71 offense.
And Hartnett was charged with a false start. That's what we're trying to figure out. And Hartnett, as we mentioned, playing for the injured Jeff Williams, who was back in Chicago with a back injury suffered last week.
71 offense, still first down.
Hartnett hurt his ankle early in the first period, but got right back in there. So it is 1st and 15 from the 25-yard line. Mike Ditka, Gene Scott hasn't seen a whole lot of action at wide receiver. Number 89 standing out the left shoulder of the coach. Out of the shotgun, McMahon gets it out to Matt Suey out of the backfield. Breaks one tackle. Suey down the sideline. Nice play by Suey into Seattle territory and out of bounds with 18 seconds on the clock.
He looked pretty quick on that, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He's very quick for the first 5 yards, but he's never been known as a speedball. As you come out of the shotgun and you hit Suey, and here comes the move.
What a
Boy,
move on
like,
Keith Simpson.
Yeah, it was like two trains passing in the night, right?
It sure was. Mike Ditka told us last night that he's been really pleased with Suey. He thinks that he has improved as a runner, and maybe he has picked up some speed. It is first down for the Bears. 18 seconds on the clock. Screen pass, Suey, 2 blockers in front. Suey bulls his way for about a 9-yard gain to the 36-yard line. And timeout is called by the Bears with 9 seconds on the clock. John Harris and Eugene Williams made the tackle.
A field goal at this point would be about a 52-yarder if they try to go for a field goal, 52 or 53 yards, and certainly John Rivetto is capable of kicking it that far. They may try and squeeze one more play in, but I can't help but think and remember that timeout that the Seahawks called before they punted the ball, and that has given the Bears this opportunity to get a 3 points on the board, 3 more points, and who knows.
So John Rivetto pondering the situation here. He has a field goal, of course, would make quite a difference in a 17-7 ball game.
He had a 51-yarder, I believe, earlier in the season at Soldier Field. But the way they're talking, looks like they're going to try and get one more play in. And they've got two timeouts left, or one timeout left.
They have two
left.
Yep.
So you can look for some kind of a short pass just to get it close enough so that they feel he has a shot at it. It's Mike McCormick wondering where that timeout came from. The one that he called. They called.
Yeah, it looked like he was just looking up there at that moment. So the people of Seattle, who are football fans of the Seahawks, enjoying this resurgence under Mike McCormick. And it's a pleasure for us to be here, making a rare trip into the beautiful Northwest. Sunshine and the rain today, which makes you feel more properly in the Northwest. Good seafood. Boy, I want to tell you, we're enjoying that. Joe Nash is in the ball game defensively on the shotgun. McMahon, and coming back for the ball, Marjoram has the first down yardage, is out of bounds at the 4-yard line.
Now they're going to take the shot at the field goal.
So he got them into the 33 of Seattle, and Rivetto will come in. So it's going to be a long one. He doesn't have the wind in his face. That one thing is for sure, but nor does he have it behind him.
It'll be about 48 yards, I believe. Let's see where Bashnickel goes down. It'll be a 50-yard field goal if he makes it.
Right on the 40-yard line, it's being spotted. 4 seconds on the clock. Rivetto does not have it. He is wide to the right. It appeared that he had enough foot, but the ball was wide to the right. And so the Seahawks will take their lead of 10 points to the locker room. Head coach Mike McCormick got to feel pretty good about how his defense particularly played in the first half. Mike Ditka looks a little less happy because he's the 10 points down, but there's a lot of football to be played in this game. We've had a Payton to Bashnickel 39-yard touchdown pass for the Bears touchdown, a Johnson field goal that opened the scoring for Seattle, Zorn scoring on a quarterback draw, and then flipping a 7-yarder to rookie Byron Walker, accounting for the Seattle points. And I think the Seahawks have looked solid
Well, they've done more in the way of drives. The Bears' 7 points is by a kind of like not a fluke play, but a different kind of a play that just fooled Seattle, whereas the Seahawks have had a couple of nice drives, and I think that quarterback draw has been the key, where they've been able to pick the Bear defense apart there in the middle. They saw tendencies, and they took advantage of it because, as you said, they were practicing that play during the week, so they knew that they wanted to run it.
Well, and of course, the Gentry fumble of the punt did set up the first touchdown by Jim Zorn, and that was a big play in this first half. So that's the end of the first half. Seattle 17, Chicago 7.
Welcome back to New York. Irv and I are joined by Eagle coach Dick Vermeil. And Dick, Mike McCormick out there with Seattle, and he's got him ahead.
That's great. I think all coaches should feel the joy of winning, and it's great to see Mike being able to get that feeling right now.
Let's get everybody up to date with the scores and some of the highlights from around the league. Some big surprises. Detroit jumps all over Green Bay, up in Packerland this afternoon. 30-10 was the final there. Minnesota hangs on, 13-10 over Baltimore, and I mean hangs on. The Colts had an 80-yard touchdown pass called back in that game. Cincinnati pushes its record to 5-1, 23-10 over the Cleveland Browns. Washington a winner over St. Louis today, 12-7 as the Skins close in on the playoffs. Irv?
Santa Claus was there to enjoy the fireworks, and early in their first quarter, O.J. Anderson took the pitch off his right tackle, rambled up his right sideline for a 64-yard gain. As you know, O.J. missed last week's game because of a heart problem. He's okay now, but simply ran out of gas, was assisted off the field, later came back to the game. During the day, carried the ball 15 times for 109 yards. You know that Redskin defense has to be well respected. Here, Tony McGee puts a lot of heat on the Cardinal quarterback for a sack. And Joe Theismann takes his club on the attack, hitting Charlie Brown, downtown Charlie Brown, who caught 6 touchdown passes coming into this ball game for a nice game. And Jim Hart, trying to get his club on the scoreboard, goes to Greg LaFleur, his tight end in the end zone, connects for a touchdown. Hart on the day, 12 passes, 7 completions, 91 yards, and that touchdown. With just 6 seconds left to go in the game, and the Cardinals trailing 12-7, Jim Hart goes for a Hail Mary, hoping for the best. The ball is batted around the end zone, and they came up empty-handed. Washington Redskins wound up with another win.
12-7. Now the next package has to go to a coach. A 3-0 game. New England over Miami. Wait till you see how they got the 3, Dick.
Here they are, some very loyal fans there. Can you imagine watching a ball game in that kind of weather? I wonder what they're drinking. Here's a field goal attempt. After a 79-yard drive, the field goal kicker, John Smith, misses one, kicks it low, and is batted down. Now, I don't know if these gals are keeping time with the music or just trying to keep warm. Here's Moses Patupo making the longest offensive run of the day, an offensive play, 24-yard gain. They were moving the ball. Here it is, the Zamboni, or whatever you want to call it, the street sweeper out there cleaning off the snow, and it happens to go right across the place where they're going to place the football for the field goal. You can see that. It's clear right there. Nice footing. Good kick straight through the uprights. 3 points, and the fans go crazy. And you can see that the New England players are really fired up. Miami came back, had a chance to win it right here. Woodley takes a snap, throws an interception right out here. A linebacker picks it off, going to the running back, and the ball game's over.
Is it legal to say, get the Zamboni out here?
I don't think it is. I've never even heard of anything like that. I really, but you have to congratulate the groundskeeper.
Absolutely. After the game, he got the game ball. We're going to have more scores and highlights coming up on the NFL Today on CBS right after these messages from your local stations. Terry Bradshaw goes 2 of 13 for 3 yards and 2 interceptions, and the Steelers are shut out by the Buffalo Bills, 13-0. The New York Jets push their record to 5-1, downing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 32-17. That was the kind of day it was in New York, folks. I mean, those guys got off the airplane from Florida and they said, oh my. And they were still frozen. Freeman McNeil, he hit him with a quick touchdown, and then, Irv, I don't think they were thought out, and here came the kickoff.
Really faulty ball handling here. The receiver, Johnny Ray Smith, fumbles the ball, picks it up, and is hit, and coughs it up once again, and the Jets wind up with great field position.
And again, here came the play, this time from the eye. They go to McNeil out of UCLA. Dick Vermeil knows that school, and suddenly it's 14-0, and they say, hey, this is a cakewalk. This is going to be easy. But I want to tell you, the Buccaneers battled back in this game, and one time they were behind 17-10, and Williams was going to the well. And Schroy snapped one away in center field, and that was the biggest defensive play of the game right there, because the Jets marched down the field, and they got the touchdown. They got a good tight end, the Jets do. He doesn't get much credit. Here he is, Mickey Schuler. He's got sure hands. Right there. He's out of Penn State, right, Dick?
Yeah.
Dick, what about the Jets? Do you think that ball club is for real now?
Oh, yeah, they were for real last year. We played them in a preseason game, and they were really physical. They've drafted and built a great offensive team, and then done the same now defensively, and the coaching staff, they're doing a super job.
Our friends in Chicago have not heard you talk about the Eagles. We've talked about it a lot today in Philadelphia and in New York. But really, what has happened to your football team?
Well, we just haven't played well enough to win. I haven't done a good enough job of coaching, and my players haven't done a good enough job of playing, and we've gained losing momentum rather than winning momentum. And there's a, it's a fine line there sometime. And I think if we could once win one and get that feeling back and the confidence level back up, we'd win more than just one.
Will the players quit on you now?
No, the Eagle players will never quit.
All right. Now, let's get back right to the scoreboard and show you some other games that are in progress. Of course, those of you in Chicago, you detest this score. Out in Seattle, they say, hallelujah, Mike McCormick's taking us to the promised land. 17-7 right now, Seattle leading. And here we are in the third quarter, the Raiders leading the Chiefs by a point. The Raiders trying to climb back into a three-way tie with Cincinnati and the Jets. And again, they are in the third quarter of that game. And at the half now, the Rams leading the Broncos 21-14. That's not the full story there. The Rams led that game 21-0. The Broncos have been on the rebound there. And, of course, another game that is being covered by CBS moves to the third quarter, and the Atlanta Falcons lead New Orleans 14-0. And, Dick, you said something very interesting about the Falcons and their big offensive line.
Well, they're quality players. They're 2 first-round picks in the offensive line at tackle positions and a first-round pick at the tight end position. And those 2 great backs and Bartkowski, it's a heck of an offensive football team.
Great when you use that #1 choice wisely.
Oh, no question. You better or you're going to get fired.
Exactly. All right. We've got the second half coming up now. Chicago and Seattle. Let's go out to Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris. Tim?
At the Kingdome in Seattle, the Seahawks with a 17-7 lead over the Chicago Bears, and Jim Zorn has run for 1 touchdown, passed for another, and a field goal by Norm Johnson. The Bears 10 points behind, still plenty of time to go.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge. And by Natural Light, the beer with a taste for food.
Back in Seattle, indoor football at the Kingdome, where the Seahawks lead the Bears 17-7. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris. And Johnny, we see that Jim Zorn is having himself a good first half. He's 14 of 20 for 122 yards. McMahon is throwing the ball well, but not getting as much going.
Now, this one, of course, was a lateral to Peyton. Peyton subsequently threw down to Brian Baschnagel for the touchdown. The Bears' only touchdown in the first half. Michael Jackson, of course, was out of the game after this for hitting Peyton a little bit too hard after the touchdown. But it's really been mostly Seattle and Jim Zorn. And a key play has been this quarterback draw that they've worked on all week. It's just been opening wide open on both drives. This one went for the touchdown, and he had another quarterback draw that set up the eventual second touchdown, which was a pass to Byron Walker, down and out on the short pass. The left-handed arm puts it right in there, and that's been the difference of the football game. It's 17-7 in favor of Seattle as we go into the second half, and Seattle is going to receive the second half kickoff, so they have a chance to improve upon that lead.
It'll be John Rivetto kicking it off as we see the halftime stats. 7 first downs for the Bears to 12 by Seattle, and total yardage pretty close, 192 for the Seahawks, 184 for the Bears. And the Seahawks having the ball for about an extra 5 minutes. Rivetto about to kick it off with Lane and Ivory. Horace Ivory, reserve running back, along with Eric Lane. There is Horace Ivory, the former Oklahoma star, picked up from New England in a trade last year. Rivetto's kickoff as we are underway with the second half of play. It is taken by Lane. Lane, number 37, with some running room, gets all the way out to the 40-yard line. Tripped up there by John Rivetto, the kicker. Eric Lane, a second-year man from Brigham Young, with a good return that gives Seattle a very good field position again. A 32-yard return for Lane.
And this gives Horace Ivory some credit, some blocking here. There's number 32, the other return man. He puts the block on Leslie Frazier, which allows Lane to get to the outside. John Rivetto, number 4, got the tackle, the kicker. That doesn't happen too often. Not in the National Football League, it doesn't.
That's for sure. So the ball is at the 38, where Seattle will begin the second half. And there are the official numbers on Zorn for the first half of play. And he has Largent out wide to the right, Carr to the left, and the give is to Sherman Smith. And Smith, with a good second effort, spins off the first hit and picks up about 4 on the play.
The Bears open with a 34 defense. They had Harris, number 90, standing up, the 3-man front with the and Harris becomes an automatic linebacker. So we've seen a little bit more of this defense for the Bears today than they normally use. Some games they use more. They try and change it up. There you can see the 3 down, and number 90 was lined up, standing up, Al Harris. Mike Singletary got through there and actually was the first man in on the tackle.
Dornick and Horace Ivory now getting a turn at running back for the Seahawks. Second and a long 6, we'll call it. The pitch out is to Horace Ivory. Ivory has a good block, and he's got running room. Ivory tiptoes down the sideline and is finally forced out by Gary Campbell at the 30-yard line of the Chicago Bears. His first carry of the day.
That was student body right. Everybody on the right side of the line pulled out. The center, the guard, the tackle. There's Steve August hitting Schmidt, number 44, out. And there was the block by, I think that was Dornick, wasn't it? Got that block on Fensick, and Ivory took it the rest of the way.
27-yard gain for Horace Ivory. Here's another look at it. There's Dornick leading the way.
And there's the block by August, Dornick's block. And boy, Ivory took it off and down the field. Finally, Gary Campbell got a hold of his ankle and tripped him up. But the Seahawks are threatened.
Well, it was the Bears who were supposed to be able to run against Seattle. And now we've seen Seattle moving the ball on the ground against Chicago. The pass to Dornick didn't quite get turned around. Some pressure on Zorn from Al Harris. And again, Zorn releasing the ball a little too quickly.
That was a correct call, though, because Mike Singletary, number 50, the middle linebacker, had to cover that all the way from the inside to cover a back. Here's 50 at the bottom of your screen. He's over the center, yet he's got to cover that back out on the flat, man for man, if he goes out there. And that's a tough job. And he got out there, but the pass wasn't there. They would have had a shot at it had he thrown it a little bit more to the left side.
Atlanta now leading New Orleans 21-0 in the third period. A win by the Falcons would make them 4-2, and the Saints, if they lose, would slip to 3-3. Meanwhile, here in Seattle, a 10-point margin for Seattle, and they are driving again at the 30-yard line of Chicago. Byron Walker and Roger Carr. And the give is to Horace Ivory again, and Steve McMichael pulls him down. Number 76 getting a turn at tackle defensively for the Bears. He got to the 28-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and 8 to go. Largent comes in and stumbles, bringing in the play. We couldn't see that on camera, but he practically fell into his quarterback, Zorn, in his zeal to deliver the play. It must be a pass to him.
Yeah. It better not be. Somebody's.
Largent goes wide left with Walker in the slot left, Byron Walker, and wide right is Roger Carr. Let's see if he goes to Largent. No, he goes to Dornick, who holds on despite a real crack by number 25, Todd Bell, the second-year defensive back from Ohio State. Dornick bounced back, is stopped short of the first down. He picked up about 5, maybe 6 on the play, and it'll be stopped short.
Todd Bell did get 2 for the price of 1 that time. He actually hit him twice as a regular 4-man rush. And there's Dornick. He doesn't have a chance to turn around, and Todd Bell puts the hit on him, and then down goes Dornick, and Bell says, look it, let's do it again. Now, I don't know why there wasn't a flag on that one, personally.
Well, it is 4th down and a field goal try for Norm Johnson. They spot it at the 32-yard line. A 42-yard attempt for Johnson. He has one already, and they fake it. Zorn. Zorn has a man open. Metzelaars and overthrows him badly. Metzelaars, the rookie tight end, was in the end zone behind the defender, but Zorn missed everything.
He was open a little bit sooner, and that was the thing. I think it was Leslie Frazier had a chance to recover to make the play tighter. As we'll take a look at the play, the fake field goal, at least there's some imagination. Now number 88 is open, but then Frazier closes the gap, which forces Zorn to pinpoint it a little more.
Well, the fans applauded anyway because they're enjoying the exciting football. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris. We are at the Kingdome in Seattle, and Seattle continues to lead the Bears 17-7. And the Bears have been a good December team, 14-2 over the last 5 years in the month of December, while the Seahawks have batted .500. But of course, the Bears in the Windy City, they like the cold weather. Maybe they're not so strong when they're indoors. They want a little colder weather. However, there is much time left in this football game.
Seattle tried to put them away with that play right there. They were going for the bomber to make it 24-7.
Following the missed fake field goal try on the pass from Zorn to Metzelaars, the Bears take over on downs at that line of scrimmage, and McMahon on first down has time and has a man. It is complete to Bashnagel. First down to the 35-yard line.
Brian Bashnagel, who's been the forgotten receiver the last couple of games, a man out of Ohio State, 4 straight Rose Bowls, the Bears player representative. As you see, McMahon gets good pass blocking. Hartnett, number 71, does a pretty good job there as McMahon adjusts to the deeper man, makes the grab, and takes it out of bounds.
Bashnagel, second reception today. And for Bryant, who got the touchdown pass from Peyton, third, pardon me. And Bashnagel had 4 coming into the game today. Not too many for a wide receiver. And the pitch here to Emery Moorhead on the end around, and the Seahawks react quite well to that. Dave Brown and number 44 Harris and Jeff Bryant all reacting well. He picked up about 6 on the play. Emery Moorhead, in talking to this, we see this again, in talking to the Seahawks, they said, hey, that's a tight end who's really a wide receiver. He's got that kind of speed.
Well, he's played wide receiver. He has played running back. He gets a little to the outside, has good speed for a tight end, and it's not too often in the National Football League you can have those tight ends who can get down deep for you, and he's one that has really changed the nature of the Chicago Bear attack, which hasn't done much today because of a good Seattle defense.
Bashnagel and James Scott, the wide receiver, 2nd and 4 from the 40-yard line of Chicago. McMahon to throw. Has the time. It is going to be picked off. Intended for Scott. It's grabbed by safety John Harris, and he's got some running room. And a good tackle by Keith Van Horn in the open field. Harris with his 3rd interception.
John Harris got 10 interceptions. Somebody got a hold of McMahon right at the last second here to, I think, make that throw be a little bit off target. Somebody got a hand on him right there. And here comes the interception right in the old breadbacks for Harris, who had 10 interceptions last year and didn't make the Pro Bowl. Can you believe that?
He's a good one.
Yes.
And so the Seahawks have the ball at midfield and a 10-point lead here in the 3rd period. We're looking at the interior of the Kingdome, where the Seahawks lead by 10. Meanwhile, the Rams at halftime in front of Denver, 21-14.
The Rams were 1-4 going into that game, so their hopes of making the playoffs are not too good. As you look at Atlanta, 21-0 over New Orleans.
In the 3rd period, and we mentioned earlier for New Orleans, if they lose, they'll slip to 3-3, but Atlanta will move to 4-2. There's John Harris. He has picked up his 3rd interception of the season, the number 6 pick in 1978 out of Arizona State. And that one was an easy one. It was thrown right at him. Johnny thought that maybe McMahon was grabbed just as he released the ball. In any event, it turns up at the 2nd Bear turnover. An 18-yard return to the 50-yard line by Harris. And Zorn on first down has time. Swings it out to Smith out of the backfield. Forced out by Campbell after a pickup of about 3 yards. Sherman Smith, number 47. 3rd draft choice in 1976. Out of Miami of Ohio, has been the main man at running back for the Seattle franchise since their inception. That's Sam Adkins, number 12, keeping track of the plays, one of the reserve quarterbacks. And here is Mike Ditka saying we better get the ball back and start to move it. Offensively, the Bears have just been absolutely stopped except for the big play by Peyton. 2nd down and a long 6. This is Theodis Brown, and the Bears shut him down right at the line. Very little gain, if any.
That's because Mike Singletary, number 50, will just throw his body in there. He just saw a little lightning opening, and he just went through there, and he's such a reckless abandon type of middle linebacker, the old Dick Butkus type. He just jammed up the play. Good play by number 50 out of Baylor.
Speaking of reckless abandoned middle linebackers, Michael Jackson has yet to play a defensive down apart from the special team since he left the game, having taken his 2nd personal foul back early in the game. And Mike McCormick evidently just trying to cool him off. So it is 3rd down and a long 5 now for the Seahawks. Deep roll by Zorn, and it is complete. First down inside the 30, Byron Walker, the rookie who already has a touchdown catch today, and he was open, a 17-yard gain.
And boy, did Jim Zorn stretch him out. Everybody goes to the left, and of course he's a southpaw quarterback, and he looked for Walker, who came down the field, almost ticked by number 51, Bruce Herron. Walker makes the grab. Gary Fensick on the tackle as the Seahawks are on the move again.
And they'll spot that ball at the 28-yard line of the Chicago Bears as we see it one more time. And there's Walker. Was he open? Fensick making the hit. So Seattle again driving in Bears territory. The pitch out to Horace Ivory. Makes one nice deke. Picks up about 3. Getting down close to the 25-yard line of Chicago. 3 Bears converge on him there, led by Osborne, with Singletary and Fensick. 2-yard pickup.
One thing about the Seahawks, they don't mind rotating their backs. You know, most teams don't play that many backs. The Bears have gone with Peyton and Suey just about exclusively. And here at Seattle, you'll see Ivory in there. You'll see Theotis Brown. You'll see Dornick. You'll see them all. Sherman Smith.
David Hughes. He's used 4 of them. 5 of them actually so far. Everybody but Eric Lane has gotten to carry the ball. Dornick and Smith at the moment. It is 2nd down and 8 for Seattle. Slot formation left. Zorn.
Oh, gee.
Wide open is Largent. And Largent gets to the 15-yard line, has first down yardage. Walt Williams, number 43, made the tackle there.
Largent drove him off. I mean, you talk about timing and good pass blocking here. I mean, it was just perfect. He drove him off, drove Williams off, and came back, and the pass was there just as he turned for the ball. Steve Largent. That's what comes from a receiver and a quarterback playing together for years and years on end. It just makes a heck of a difference.
13-yard gain for Steve Largent. He's had 6 catches for 81 yards. And now the Seahawks show a new look here. They've got an old straight T set up here for this play. Now they take the middleman, who is a wide receiver, Walker, out of the backfield, and they give it to Dornick, who gets to the 10-yard line. And Dornick, number 33, future doctor. Dornick coming over from the Giants. Very much welcome here in his home territory. Went to school out here at Washington State. It is 2nd and 7 after a 3-yard gain, and the Seattle Seahawks on the door again. They could really put the Bears in a bad hole with 8:12 ticking away here in the 3rd period. Should Seattle go up by another one? It is 17-7 if you joined us along the way. Zorn has run for one and passed for another. Brown and Dornick are the running backs. Big hole, and it is Theotis Brown getting to the 2-yard line. He's finally stopped by Gary Fensick. First down, Seattle. Goal to go.
Watch Edwin Bailey and John Yarno. Bailey gets number 59, Gary Campbell, and puts the key block. He's the guard that came out, tied up the linebacker, and he busted through the hole. Good interior blocking. Yarno blocked back, and it was just, that's the way they draw it up on the blackboards. And there's Buddy Ryan, the Bears defensive coordinator, got his hands on his hips wondering what's going on. Zorn was 15 of 21 in the first half.
He is throwing it, but they are also running
the ball, right. The quarterback draw killed him.
A very nice varied offense, and they are dominating play now. That time Brown is met at the line by a host of white shirts. You see Henry Wachter, number 75, the rookie from Nebraska, along with Osborne and Hampton jamming up the middle of the goal line defense. Mike McCormick saying if we get one more, I think I'm in pretty good shape here.
They would be in good shape, and when you stop to think, they've won 2 out of 3 since he took over, and the game they lost to Oakland, as you know, they almost pulled that one out. So they could, with a couple of breaks, it could have been 4-0.
That was 2 football games. I watched that game last week, and the Raiders won the first half. The Seahawks won the second. Problem for them was Raiders had more points on the board. 28-23, rolling Zorn. He's got Dornick open to throw to, and delivers the ball complete, but a good defensive play by the Bears. No, it's incomplete. Did not have control, as he caught the ball going out of bounds. He had to have possession inbounds, full and complete possession. The officials say no. It would have only resulted in about a 1.5 yard gain.
Here comes the pass. Let's see. Ruled that he did not have control of the ball, which he did not. It's a good call by the official. So now we have a
going to Brown will try to sweep it wide, and oh, what a good job by Todd Bell. They stop him short. Todd Bell fought that blocker all the way to the sideline, would not let him turn upfield. Bell's still trying to hold him back. I don't know who Brown is hot at. Well, it looks like McMichael, who was the second man there, but what a job by Bell on that play, Johnny.
It certainly was, and now we have the biggest call of the game so far. They're down to about the half-a-yard line. They could take the field goal and have a 20-7 lead, or try and push it to 24-7. They're going to go for it, and not bad thinking, because this could put them away. And the other thing is, if they don't make it, say they don't make it, the Bears will be on their own half-yard line, and that's not very good field position. So I can't argue with the call.
Oh, I sure agree. 4th and goal. Dornick and Brown are the setbacks. They give it to Brown, and the Bears have stopped them. A goal line stand by the Chicago Bears, and while indeed they will be starting from literally the goal line, nonetheless credit to the defense for stopping the Seattle Seahawks in a crucial situation. Down at the bottom of the pile, Al Harris, but in a situation like that, you know there are about 5 guys involved, and Singletary was right there with Harris.
And what was Coach McCormick's reaction to this? He's watching the play, and he says no. So anyway, the Bears have the ball, 1 yard line. Seattle does not score. It is 17-7, and it's still a football game.
We have 5:36 remaining, still in the 3rd period. So a long way to go, but what a big defensive series for the Chicago Bears, as the Seahawks were marching it on them with a varied offense that was really picking the Bears apart. But the Bears defense rose up. McMahon dives out ahead to pick up a little breathing room. Gets about 3. He'll spot it at about the 4 yard line. Middle of that Seahawks defense, and we still are looking at Shelton Robinson at middle linebacker. Kind of an interesting story with Michael Jackson picking up those 2 penalties back in the 1st period, and Mike McCormick has had him on the bench since.
Well, I think they've gone beyond the cooling off point. I think it must be a punishment point or something, unless Jackson's got an injury that we don't know about.
Well, they tell us that he is not injured. That's most of the time is the truth. It is 2nd and 8. Payton trying to squeeze out off right tackle. Dances for 2 or 3 behind Hartnett and Van Horn. Picks up maybe 5 with Walter. You can say 2 or 3, and it always turns out he's got 1 or 2 more than you thought. There is Buddy Ryan breathing a little more easily as his defense did the job on the goal line.
The Bears have just pushed out 8 tough yards from their own 1. They have a shot at the 1st down. Here comes a big play.
Brooks Williams brings it in, the tight end. And Michael Jackson is now back in. I was about to say before, I wonder if a big play or a big series or the time of the game dictates his return. Well, Mike McCormick and the defensive coordinator say now. It is 3rd and 2, and there is Michael Jackson, number 55, and the Bears called timeout. What do you think of that?
Well, maybe Michael Jackson shook him up. They hadn't seen him in the game for a while.
All right, it stands 17-7. Seattle on top. 5 down linemen in for the Seahawks on 3rd and 2. Big play for the Bears here, trying to keep the momentum out of their own end, and it is Payton diving, and he is caught in midair. Did he get there or not?
It looks like they're giving it quite a bit of forward progress.
Yes, they have. They've already signaled 1st down. It was Joe Nash, the rookie from BC, who caught Walter Payton like a football in midair, but Payton had made the distance.
Here it is, up and over. There's a little crease in there, and Payton took the dive, and he did, appears got the forward progress, did get him up beyond the 11-yard line. Payton's still trying to get it, even reaches the ball out there. Come on, Walter.
He already had it, and the Bears have a little bit of breathing room. They're now out at their own 12-yard line. Slot formation left in the eye. Jim McMahon, the rookie at quarterback. Payton Payton is met and surrounded and will get nowhere. A flag is down, and there may be a face mask over there. 3 Seahawks. That would be a bad penalty to take because he was going nowhere. And there is the preliminary signal. Face mask against the Seahawks. A break for the Bears.
Boy, did Matt Suhey put a block on Jacob Green. Mike McCormick is thinking, we had 2 drives. They faked the field goal on 1, didn't get any points. So they're down to the 1 and didn't get any points. So he's thinking there's 2 drives that went all for naught at this time.
Face guard, number 58 defense. It's not an automatic first down. It's 1st and 8.
That is Bruce Schultz, the rookie from Texas.
As we'll get a look at it. He's got a hold of the...
I don't know whether we're going to see it from that angle.
Yeah.
But it was a grasping, the face mask. 5-yarder, first down, and 8, and Payton gets nowhere. He's met on the right side of that line. Jeff Bryant, the rookie from Clemson, number 77, ranging across and putting the stop on him. So they'll give him a yard to make it 2nd and 7. The ball is now out at the 15 of the Chicago Bears. They trail by 10. 17-7. 3:12 and ticking, 3rd period. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris live with NFL action. A crucial game for both of these teams. Both tied for 8 coming into the game in their respective conferences. The final playoff spot. Suhey has a completed pass short of the first down. However, he is met by 3 Seahawks, led by Shelton Robinson and Dave Brown. And also we note Keith Butler, who was injured earlier and is back in action, obviously, number 53.
Well, we can obviously see what the Bears' game plan is. McMahon threw only 12 passes, I believe, in the first half, and hasn't thrown too much in the second half, and they haven't thrown downfield very much at all, except for Payton's, offbeat type of play. So the Bears are not really testing the Seattle pass defense downfield.
3 tight ends are in on this 3rd and short. One of them on the wing. The Bears will try to punch it through for the first down. And it's Matt Suhey who has it, getting over the 25. Good blocking up the middle for the Bears, and Butler and Harris stopped him at the 25. But a good piece of running by Suhey and a good hole for him to run through.
Let's take a look. Noah Jackson, 65. Dan Neal's the center blocking, and Payton with a great block as he blocked down Robinson, number 57.
So the Bears now have themselves some room to operate with the ball out at their 25-yard line. 1:44 and ticking here, coming down to the end of the 3rd quarter. Bashnagel and Marjoram on the near side. Rolling with McMahon, and he hits Suhey out of the backfield. Suhey breaks 2 tackles and gets over the 30-yard line to the 31. A gain of about 6 on the play.
Matt Suhey out of Penn State, and Mike Ditka said earlier this week that he feels that Suhey is really coming into his own as a running back. He's a great blocker for Payton. He comes out. Payton's further down the field, and Suhey is the short man as McMahon shows his versatility of getting outside. And then Suhey takes the shot right there and comes off of it. Pretty good job of running as Bruce Schultz put everything on him, and he was able to take the shot.
Well, in that pileup, Keith Butler, who has already been hurt once in the game, was apparently injured again. Will return. Back in Seattle, Butler is up and all right, and a reminder that tonight on CBS, award-winning 60 Minutes, followed by that lineup, finishing up with Trapper John M.D. That's all tonight on CBS. Keith Butler receiving some attention over at the Seattle Seahawks bench, and it's been a rough afternoon for that young man. It'll bring in Eugene Williams, number 54, at the right side linebacker. The Bears, meanwhile, are 2nd and 6 from their own 30-yard line and trailing by 10 to pitch for Payton. Payton stiff arms one man and is forced out of bounds, apparently short of the first down. Dave Brown, the right side cornerback from Michigan, pushed him out.
Roland Harper is in the game now for the Chicago Bears. As you look at Atlanta, look what they're doing to the Saints, 28-0. Bad day for Bum Phillips' team. Kansas City leads the Raiders 9-7. That game in the 4th quarter. They got a bunch of field goals in that one, haven't they, Tim?
Yep. And the Rams in front of Denver, 21-7. Indeed, 3 Nick Lowry field goals for the Kansas City Chiefs, giving them the lead over the Raiders. And the Rams had a fake field goal touchdown scored by Nolan Cromwell, the holder. And next Saturday it'll be the Rams and the Raiders. Special Saturday action on CBS.
Third straight, third and short situation.
Third and about 2 for the Bears. You've got to keep it going now. Matt Suhey breaks a tackle and has the first down out to the 40-yard line. A gain of 6 yards on the play for Matt Suhey, who is having a fine afternoon.
This drive started from a 1-yard line, and they have 3 straight key first downs, and they're out to their own 40. As Matt Suhey, as you mentioned, out of Penn State, he gained more yardage and some great names there. He had more yards than, I think, Lydell Mitchell, and who else went there? Who was Lenny Moore?
Well, today he's got 29 yards rushing and 60 yards catching passes, so that's not a bad afternoon. First down for the Bears.
The tight end Moorhead is flanked way out.
Let's see what that develops for them. We expected that they might try to get it to Payton off that formation, and they do. First down for Walter Payton. He just moved out in motion and was wide open down the middle, and that's one of their best offensive plays of the day. They get down to the 44-yard line of Seattle.
Okay, you had Emory Moorhead flanked way to the right, and Payton just came down straight down the field. He hit him on the run, and you get the ball to Walter on that kind of a situation, he'll break a lot of those tackles.
Keith Simpson, number 42, knocked him down, and the Bears on the march as we approach the end of the third quarter with the ball at the 43-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks. And the Chicago Bears, remember, started from their 1-yard line on this drive, and they are in Seattle territory at the end of 3. The Seahawks still hold a 10-point lead, 17-7. Mike Ditka's got to like that play. Finally, the Bears, with a perfectly executed offensive play, and in my opinion, their best offensive play of the day, was perfectly executed. And now they find themselves in Seattle territory, having started from the shadow of their own goal line at the 1. And they trail still by 10 points as we begin the fourth period. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris with the Bears to our left in white, the Seahawks to our right in blue. And the Seahawks have been in control of this football game. Payton, by the way, has 38 yards rushing on 11 carries. They shift to the eye and motion Moorhead off the wing. Play action. McMahon running out of time. Moves the rush. McMahon pointing blockers. He wants to carry the football, and he does. And he is dumped after picking up the first down to the 32-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks, where Joe Nash and Bruce Schultz pulled him down.
And this is where you see Jim McMahon at his best. That time they thought they had him dead to rights. I believe it was Jacob Green, 79, was bearing down on him. He thought he had him, and all of a sudden he was gone like a will-o'-the-wisp. Right here, Green thought he had him, and McMahon got out of it, and he's always under control. He's looking downfield, pointing. I mean, that is what you call having control of a situation. You don't panic. Some people, you know, it's up for grabs. He always seems to be under control.
That is the remarkable poise of the rookie from Brigham Young. He'll stand him well. Here is Payton. Payton nowhere to go. Ran into his own blocker, Jackson, who had been upset by the defensive work out the right side. And I believe it was Jacob Green who piled up the play very effectively for the Seahawks.
Well, this is a big drive. It's all up to 60 yards now that they have gone, and if they can score off of this drive, we have a really almost a brand new ball game, whereas one mistake and the Seattle stops this one, that's going to be just about Katie bar the door. So you talk about important plays. They're coming up right now, 2nd and long.
Keith Butler has returned at right side linebacker, so that young man isn't going to let the hurts he's suffered keep him out of this one. Straight drop by McMahon, and again just eluding the rush in time, and has an open man. Bashnagel, first down inside the 15-yard line of Seattle, and he's tackled there by Easley and Robinson.
Well, it's a carbon copy of instinct and quickness by a quarterback. He's not what you call an extremely fast quarterback, but he's quick for 5 yards. He has quick reactions, and when he decides to do something, he's almost going full speed right away. And that's a real asset for a quarterback when he's in the pocket. And look at this, Bashnagel is so open, it's unbelievable. 2 individual good efforts by Jim McMahon have kept this drive alive, which is now 80 yards long.
21-yard gain on the play. The 4th catch by Bashnagel today for 89 yards. And they give it to Walter Payton. Payton, dancing behind the blockers in the middle, gets to the 10-yard line for a pickup of about 4. So the Bears with their best drive of the afternoon, trying to close the margin to 3 with a converted touchdown. Robinson and Schultz on the tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. Tuia Sissoko also getting a piece of the action right at the 10-yard line.
I think one of the most positive things for Mike Ditka is that the Bears last week and this week have really been devoid of penalties. They have had penalties, 8, 9, 10 penalties on offense every game. Last week they did not, and this game here they have not had critical offensive penalties so far.
Good point. 2nd down at the 10-yard line. 1 setback. They've got receivers strung out to the left. They put Payton in motion from the wing. McMahon has the time, eludes another rusher. Finds an open man at the goal line, and it is going to be incomplete. No, it is complete. Thought he dropped the ball over there, Walter Payton. And the Seattle Seahawks thought he dropped the ball too. You see Dave Brown with the ball in his hand saying, hey, I have the ball. How can you call that a completion? Let's see it again.
Well, that deserves another look as McMahon once again gets away from the pressure, gets outside and gives himself all the time in the world right here. And let's see if Payton hung on to the ball long enough for a completion.
I would say definitely not.
Jeez.
A big break for the Bears there. I don't think he ever had the ball.
They showed that on the big television screen here in the stadium, and the fans are really booing it. One knee is down. See, there is the...
that is not possession to me, but the Bears have it, and that's what counts for Chicago fans. The ball is inside the 5. Payton in motion behind the ball. The crowd still unhappy, and Suey will score. Touchdown, Chicago Bears. Matt Suey certainly deserved to get the shot at the touchdown because he has been the strongest runner today for the Chicago Bears. And so the Bears have now made things very interesting with 11:53 to play regulation time.
There's 71. Hartner comes out, and Keith Simpson comes across and jams it up like he's supposed to, but Suey had the alertness that he just went up and over into the end zone and then took a shot from Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, boy, he really wants... I mean, he was already in the end zone there.
So the point after try by John Rovetto. And a big one, obviously, with the score this way. 99-yard drive by the Bears. Rovetto has the conversion. And we have ourselves an exciting football game. So with 11:53 on the clock, as we see Matt Suey, who just scored for the Bears. Seattle with a 17-14 lead, and will return to the Kingdome in Seattle after this. A little bit of controversy, at least as we see it, on the reception by Walter Payton at the 1-yard line. Rovetto's kickoff is somewhat short, taken at about the 7-yard line, and that is Horace Ivory running it out over the 25 to the 27. Bruce Heron, number 51, and McMichael, 76 on the tackle there.
You know, ever since they've kind of changed the rules on pass receiving, where if you just catch the ball and put your foot down, it's ruled a completion, almost like in the end zone. They have that all over the field now. You're going to get controversies on whether a guy caught the ball or not. They should say the way the rule should be is that you catch the ball and you got to have it and get up with it, and it's a reception. That's the way it should be.
So the Seahawks with a first down and the lead. A more slender one, and Zorn is sacked. Big defensive play by Mike Hartenstein. Zorn was not expecting him at that point in that place. And Hartenstein with a big defensive play. Third sack of the day for the Bears, 2 of them by Hartenstein,
who were second in the conference going in sacks. As you're going to see coming from the left side of your screen, Zorn had no idea that Hartenstein was going to get through there like he did, number 73. It's almost like nobody even blocked him, and now the Seahawks are into a long passing situation, which is the strength of the Bears.
The ball is back at the 19-yard line, and Jim Zorn, taking a look at that Bears defense, says, I think I want to talk it over. Timeout is called. 11:16 remaining in regulation time, and Mike McCormick will discuss things with quarterback Jim Zorn, and we'll be back. Johnny Morris in Seattle, and we look at this score at Atlanta, where Bartkowski and company are really doing a number on Stabler and company. Kansas City clinging to a 2-point margin over the Raiders, and the Rams still in front by 4 over Denver in the 4th period. And Jim Zorn, having talked things over, was looking at 5 down linemen and 6 defensive backs. Look at this Bears defense. They actually have 2 men in the secondary and everybody else on the line. So he runs a quarterback draw and is dropped at the 20-yard line by McMichael, Steve McMichael. Pickup of only 2 yards. 3rd down and 16 to go.
Big play by McMichael, because it looked like Zorn was ready to take off for a few more yards here. Let's watch for number 76. He's to the right of your screen as Zorn goes back on that quarterback draw, and McMichael is jammed in between 2 players and still makes that diving tackle to prevent Zorn, who was heading for the sidelines and some running room. So now we have a 3rd and 16.
There's a free agent that they picked up from New England out of Texas, Steve McMichael. I think they found themselves a real fine young offensive lineman there. It is 3rd down, and Zorn quickly unloads to Largent, complete for a 1st down. A big play by the Seahawks. Fensick had a piece. Schmidt pulled him down with help from Fisher, but a big play for the Seahawks. 25-yard gainer to the 45 of Seattle.
A man-for-man situation up at the top of your screen. He's got Schmidt, who's playing him to the outside. Has a little help on the inside coverage, but only deep, not when he comes across the field a little bit. Fensick was down the field in case he ran a post pattern or something like that, but if you turn in and come across slightly like that, it's Schmidt man for man.
What a pretty and educational replay. Our thanks to our camera crew, our videotape people, and director Andy Kindle. That was a super little piece of football instruction from John Morris. It is now at the 45-yard line, a 1st down, and going straight ahead, that is David Hughes, number 46, the 2nd-year man from Boise State, and batters his way for a couple. In the middle, Mike Singletary, number 50, with the hit.
Boy, when Mike Singletary hits people, they stop. It's amazing now. That time Hughes had a full go there, and he was stopped right dead in his tracks.
So it is 2nd down, and we'll call it 8 to go with the ball at the 48-yard line of the Seahawks, protecting their lead 17-14. 9:12 to go regulation time in the pro set. Play action. Zorn has some time now, running out of it as Hampton gets him, and down he goes. Dan Hampton was behind him and looked like Zorn was going to be safe, but he reached out with a long paw and hauled him down. Mike Hartenstein there. He's been around that quarterback all day. Buddy Ryan says, way to go, guys.
Okay, let's look for Dan Hampton. As you're going to see, the pass rush, Osborne was right over the top, and Hampton will come here from the left side of your screen and gets the hand on it. You looked like Zorn was going to get out of it, but Hartenstein said, no, you're not. Number 73 took him down. Another 3rd and long situation. Schmidt is out there man for man.
3rd and about 14 out of the wide throw set. Straight drop by Zorn. Long pass for Johns, and it's overthrown. Paul Johns, and deep back there was Fensick with Schmidt, and it would have been a difficult reception for him to make. Momentarily he was open, but then the Bears got over to cover well, and Zorn overthrew it. So that'll bring up 4th down for Seattle. First punt in the 2nd half by either team, and we're down to 8:29 remaining for Seattle, pardon me. First punt for Seattle's Jeff West in the 2nd half. A high hanger. Fair catch signal taken at the 25-yard line by Jeff Fisher. 34-yard punt for West, and not a real good punt in this situation. He's given the Bears pretty good field position at the 25. Mike McCormick, Mike Ditka. There's a lot on the line here today. You can see it in their faces and in the pacing of Ditka. 17-14, a 3-point margin. And remember, with 8 teams from each conference making it into the playoffs, there's not a lot of time left in this shortened season. And the Chicago Bears trying to get to 3-3. Seattle trying to do the same. And the loser here today pretty much out of it. One would have to think that they're not going to be in. Bashnagel and Marjoram and
Moorhead is on this side.
Way wide to the right, and they give it to Payton. We've been expecting them to try this, and the Seattle Seahawks must have been expecting it too, because they They did not budge a bit. They were waiting for Payton to run off tackle right. Robinson, the linebacker, has been in there for Michael Jackson all the way, and Jacob Green, the young defensive end, making the stop.
Well, you try and get a team into a passing situation to 2nd and 3rd and long, but the way McMahon played on that last drive, I'm not sure that the Seahawks like that idea, because he's so elusive in the pocket. The defensive ends are having trouble because they think they got him sealed in, and he gets outside.
And on this down, he hits Payton. Payton trying to shake a tackle, but can't do it. Gets only about 3, maybe 4 yards. Keith Simpson, number 42, a sure-handed defender, making the stop. 4-yard pickup will move it to the 30-yard line, just over the 30, and bring up 3rd and 5. Big play here. 7:21 to go. That's a lot of time. I realize that. There's only a 3-point margin, but there's the Seahawk saying everything's okay, guys. We're in control.
Yeah, he's not so sure.
7:06 to go and counting. A big 3rd down play. McMahon fires it, and the official was there ahead of the intended pass receiver, but he was just trying to get it out anyway. That's my impression. Marjoram was there as the intended receiver, but it looked to me like McMahon was just trying to chuck that out of bounds as the heat was on him.
Yeah, we almost have to give a reception to Burl Toller, the head linesman.
Watch the rush by the Seahawks suddenly kind of converge on him right there.
Okay, and here comes the play that went way back, and by gosh, you're right. Toller was closer than anybody to that ball.
Well, it's the first time the Bears haven't turned a 3rd down over in this half, and they will have to punt. This is their first punt of the 2nd half. Parsons hits it from his own 22, and it's a boomer. Johns at his 20 gets away from the first tackle. Johns turns it upfield with a burst of speed and takes quite a rap, but he got it to the 35-yard line. Al Chesley, and Chesley is injured along with another Bear on that big collision at the 35-yard line. 50-yard punt, a 16-yard return, and Chesley gets to his feet. What a collision. There's still a Bear player down. So we'll return to see if Bruce Herron is all right momentarily. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris. There is Al Chesley, and he's got a sore arm. He's lucky he doesn't have more that's sore from that collision. There's the man he ran into, his own teammate Herron.
And let's take a look at it. And Paul Johns gets out of it because he gets hit and he flies in the air and clears all the traffic, and you're going to see 57 coming from the left, and there's 51, Bruce Herron, and they collide down below, and Johns got clear of all the action there. He just wondered what went on.
Well, that's some collision. Punts and kickoff situations, you can get some of that, especially when a guy like Johns makes that burst of speed and turns it upfield. Boy, everybody's trying their best to stop him as soon as they can. First down from the 35. Hughes and Ivory are the running backs in the eye for Seattle. Johns and Largent, the wide receivers. Long count by Zorn.
Calling an audible because of the stacked defense. 2 linebackers inside there.
He just got it off, too, in time, and the screen to the tight end, Tice, and he is dropped on a very good play by Fensick, who read that and came up from safety to drop the big sophomore tight end out of Maryland.
And he had to get by Edwin Bailey to make that tackle. Good play by Gary Fensick, as the play would have gone very well had it not been for Fensick's individual effort there.
That Tice is 6'7" and used to be a quarterback at Maryland, and we had quite an enjoyable chat with him yesterday. He's a real piece of work, that young man. And can you imagine what it would look like if you're the middle linebacker looking at a 6'7" quarterback?
Okay, and here is a 6'1" quarterback as he throws it out here, and you'll see that if Bailey could have gotten that block, then Tice could have gotten some big yardage, but Fensick made a nice play.
It is 2nd and 11, and the give is to Horace Ivory. Ivory dances through tacklers, still going, good run out to the 39. Gary Campbell finally hauled him down, but a nice piece of running by the former Oklahoma star.
Now we keep talking about big plays. Here comes one. 3rd down and about 6. 5:48 left in the football game. Seattle leading 17-14.
Dornink and Smith come in as Mike McCormick and his offensive staff continue to give all the running backs work with the exception of Eric Lane.
Now you see Byron Walker is being covered by Gary Fensick, a safety, up on the line of scrimmage here. And he's going to have some deep help. But Walker has a chance to get away from Fensick there. on the shorter pattern.
Marsden and Johns, the other wide receivers, and he goes to the Dornick, the fullback out of the backfield. It'll be close to the first down, depending on where they mark it. And it was Singletary who put the hit on him, trying to stop the first down on a big third down situation. They're going to measure. The ball has been rested right on the 45, and I would say that they're going to get it.
It's going to be within an inch.
What a big play. 5:14 to go. A 3-point margin for Seattle. Trying to even their mark on the season at 3-3.
Oh, it's about an inch.
It is. Look at that. Well, I don't think there's much doubt about them going for it. The Bears, remember, stopped them at the 1-yard line. They were trying to take it in, but now they're only looking for 1 inch. They've got Tyson Metzelaars, the big tight ends in. The Bears send in a whole platoon of big guys. Wachter, McMichael, Otis Wilson comes in.
Well, the quarterback can fall for an inch.
Yes, he
can.
It
Depends on here. If you give it to a lead back and somebody can knife through, they got to be very careful.
4th and about an inch. And Zorn talking to one of his running backs. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them snap the ball, and they do. It's a quick kick by Dornick. And Dornick hits it perfectly down to about the 5-yard line. It's going to roll to the 2. Well, we saw them practicing that play with some great fakery.
Well, it was a heck of a play as far as a quick kick is concerned. I don't know. You still got to wonder. They had a chance to keep possession of the football with an inch to go. They're giving the ball back to the Bears, and I'm not taking anything away from the play as Zorn moved out of the pocket. Dornick with that kick, and it took the right bounce, and it put the Bears right behind the 8 ball, but they still gave up the football.
Yes, they did. I'm not sure about that strategy either, but I love the acting on the part of Jim Zorn, strolling off to holler an audible up to his wide receiver. We'll be back. 4th and an inch, a performance worthy of Sir Lawrence Olivier. Number 10, Jim Zorn, the quarterback. Watch this. He looks over here. He talks to his running back. He says, hey, move up, move back, whatever. Changes the signal, gives him the count. Walks over now to the wide receiver saying, you got to play. And then meanwhile, they snap the ball to Dornick. And Dornick makes maybe one of the most perfect quick kicks you've ever seen. They got a Seattle bounce. They roll to the 3-yard line. Perfect execution all around.
And Zorn was moving, but he was moving to the side. So
he was in motion.
He was in motion to the side.
He was effectively in walking motion. Well, if they had not made it a 4th and an inch, they'd be giving up the ball at midfield. That's the Seattle upside. They've got the Bears at the 1. As Johnny points out, they did give the ball to the Bears, and had they made the 1 inch, they'd still have it. But the Bears are a long way from the end zone. 4:37 and counting. It is Matt Suey bringing it out to the 5-yard line. A pickup of about 3 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd and 7. Now remember, the Bears marched from their 1, went 99 yards for the touchdown that closed this to a 3-point margin. We've got an injured Seahawk on the artificial turf. Looks like number 74, Tuia Sisopo. Manu from UCLA, the number 1 pick in 1979, and Mike McCormick out there again. This is part of his routine, evidently. When there is an injury, he comes out to offer his own personal concern to the player. So they are attending to Big Manu, and that gives us an opportunity to remind you that next week, remember, every game is a big one now in this NFL playoff picture, and next week these Bears will be at home against the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Giants will be at Washington. The Redskins are 5-1 and really having themselves a great short season. The Giants have won 3 in a row and find themselves very much in the picture at 3-3. 12:30 Eastern Time. The NFL Today starts it for you here on CBS Sports. And Tuia Sisopo is up and at him. We'll get a little break here while they work on him on the bench. Appreciative applause from the Seahawks partisans here. 4:26 and counting. The ball is at the 6-yard line of the Chicago Bears. Seattle leads by 3. Each team trying to even their record at 3-3, which would give them an excellent shot at a playoff position.
They're doubling both wide receivers, so they're going to probably... Ooh.
McMahon intended for James Scott. Scott could not come up with a catch. He took a pretty hard lick from John Harris and gets up a little slowly. It was right on the Charlie horse area.
John Harris was downfield waiting for him. That time they doubled both wide receivers, short and deep. So usually when a team does that to you, you try and hit the tight end or one of the backs straight up the field. Here's the play action pass, and here comes, you'll see Harris waiting for Scott, and the ball was there.
On third down today, the Bears are 5 for 11, turning them into first down.
Both backs are on the wing now.
From the end zone, McMahon. Complete.
Oh.
No, dropped. It was dropped by Brian Bashnagel, who may have been too concerned about that sideline, Johnny, because he seemed he was wide open. He had lots of time to make the catch, and I think he may have taken his eyes off to look at that sideline.
Trying to keep his feet in bounds as McMahon once again got out of the pocket. Suey was open first, and then Bashnagel, who is normally a stomach catcher, he'll always be sure of the catch to bring in the stomach, but he was forced to reach out because he wanted to stay in bounds, and he dropped the ball. But very interesting for Bashnagel, normally a stomach catcher.
Well, right now, that Seahawks strategy looks terrific. 4 minutes and 1 second remaining. Parsons will have to punt it from his end zone. And it's a bad kick. It's a horrible kick. The ball landed at the 24, is down at the 21-yard line by Brooks Williams. And the crowd here is going crazy. 15-yard kick by Parsons. What a time for that one.
That's what you call going from the penthouse to the other house. He had an 81-yarder last week, and so he evened it out to 15 yards, and the Bears are in tough shape now.
Well, what a turn of events, and the piece of dramatic work by the Thespians of Seattle looks better and better. Next week, college championship action on Saturday. Delaware and Eastern Kentucky here on CBS. Here in the Kingdome, we're at the 21-yard line. And the Seattle Seahawks have the football. Sherman Smith is pulled down by Dan Hampton, having another strong game defensively. For the Chicago Bears, there'll be a loss on the play of 1, maybe 2. Denver has gone in front of the Rams 27-21. The Raiders lead Kansas City now 14-9. And they will meet each other next week in our Saturday NFL action on CBS Sports. The Rams and the Raiders.
The Bears have their 4-man front with 3 linebackers and 4 defensive backs, so nothing fancy as far as personnel disbursement.
3:13 and counting. Seahawks with a 3-point lead and the football at the 20-yard line. Dorning gets it to the 20-yard line of the Bears. A pickup of about 4. Singletary and Osborne making the tackle.
You know, this has really been, aside from some of those personal fouls, this has really been a cleanly played football game by both teams. There are very few penalties.
4 new Bears come in defensively. Fisher, Bell, McMichael, who's had a strong day today as well, and Walt Williams, newcomer at defensive back. Now Williams comes off. They had 1 too many men on the field.
Okay, will Zorn go to the air?
3rd down and 9 at the 20-yard line of Chicago. Yes, he will. No, he'll run. He will run, and this time he ran into his own man. Got to the 15, but is short of the first down. Osborne making the tackle. Well, Zorn has had a lot of fun running that quarterback draw today, and this one will develop into a field goal opportunity for the Seahawks.
And the play actually worked. Just got a little bit jammed up with his own man, or Zorn could have gotten some big yardage.
Well, should they make the field goal here, they'll force the Bears into needing a converted touchdown. And we have had the 2-minute warning sounded here in what has been a most entertaining football game, and it is not over yet. 2 minutes to go. 17-14 Seattle. The Seagulls enjoying the score up there for sure, but fearful too with 2 minutes remaining. There's still lots of time for anything to happen. The Seahawks will attempt the field goal. Well, we presume they will. They've been doing a lot of razzle-dazzle gambling and trick plays today. They'll spot it at the 24-yard line for Norm Johnson, the rookie kicker, and he will try to kick it and does, and it is good. And so they have opened it to 6 points, and the Bears will need a converted touchdown in the final 1:57 to pull out this football game and enhance their playoff chances. The Seahawks, knowing full well that if they stop them, they'll go to 3-3, and they will be the team with the playoff shot. So Jim McMahon, the rookie quarterback, who's had plenty of pressure just coming into that role as the Bears starting quarterback 3 games ago, will find himself in another pressure cooker situation when the Bears get the football off this kickoff. 1:57 on the clock. The only score of the second half has been a 2-yard touchdown run by Matt Suhey until that field goal by the Seahawks. And Suhey scored after a 99-yard drive by the Bears, who looked like they might be turning the game around. But the Seahawks have come up with another 3-pointer.
And make no mistake that 3-pointer is very important. It changes the way you can play your defense when you know that they have to go all the way rather than get to the 30 or 25 for a field goal. So let's see what happens. Should be interesting.
Big kickoff by Johnson. Gentry in the end zone will not bring it out with the advice of Fisher and Watts. And so the Bears will start from the 20 with 1:57 on the clock. They'll have to go 80 yards and get the touchdown and the point after. Our executive producer, Terry O'Neill, and our senior producer, Charles H. Milton III. Our producer today on the site is Ed Gorin, and our director, Andy Kindle. Associate producer Bob Rowe, our field technical managers Brooks Graham and Tim Abhold, making sure everything holds together. John Connell, our broadcast associate. Technical director Dixon Williams, and audio by Andy Bly.
It's not too often we get to say thank you to everybody, is it?
No, that's great, and we sure thank our entire crew of technicians, and certainly the guys in the tape truck have done a great job today.
Seattle in their 4-3 set. They're not changing. They'll just go to zone. Looks like a double zone on both wide receivers.
McMahon out of the shotgun. Screen pass. Payton gets one block, but it is well played off the block. That's Simpson, Keith Simpson, making the tackle off the block and holding Payton to a gain of 6. 2nd and 4. 1:39 and ticking. Bears a little slow to get the play off. Slot formation right. McMahon holds his ground and has a first down with a pass to Walter Payton. A pickup of about 6 more out to the 31. 1:19 and counting.
The Bears have 2 timeouts left, so that the situation is not that critical for them.
McMahon, short pass again to Suhey. Suhey takes one bump and then is wrapped up. A gain of only 4, maybe 5 on the play. Keith Simpson and middle linebacker Shelton Robinson. And they don't have Jackson in. The Seahawks do not, in what is obviously the most important defensive situation of the ball game for them, Johnny. As the Bears call timeout, they'll have one more opportunity to do so. 1:02 on the clock. What do you think about Mike McCormick keeping Jackson on the bench in this circumstance?
Well, I don't know if he's trying to make a point and make it strong, but he is sacrificing his experience at a middle linebacker spot, especially in the defense that they use. They don't go to the nickel that often. The nickel defense, the 5 defensive backs, they depend on their middle linebacker to do a big job for them. And that's Robinson, who is not that experienced a football player.
Rookie out of North Carolina. Free agent, was a tight end in college.
I would say that the Bears gained about, what, 20 yards in those 3 plays and ate up almost a minute on the clock. And I think McMahon said, hey, we got to make a little bit more progress in this, because we're not looking for the field goal, we're looking for the touchdown. So they called the timeout. They have 1 left, and we'll see what happens. It's Mr. McCormick trying to make it 3 out of 4 since returning to the coaching ranks. Mike Ditka, his team has been up and down. Good game, bad game, good game, bad game.
2 quick scores. Denver now has gone in front of the Rams 27-24. What a ding-dong they got there. 6 minutes left in the 4th. And Kansas City leading the Raiders 16-14 in the final 2 minutes of that game. Out of the shotgun here on 2nd and 5. A screen pass again. And that is Suhey. Suhey running well. Matt Suhey still going out to midfield. Nice running by Matt Suhey. And they get it inside the 50-yard line into Seattle territory. 46 seconds and counting. Bears have one more timeout. Now they spot it right on midfield in the shotgun. Deep for Moorhead, overthrown. McMahon threw that a little too soon. One thing he did do was stop the clock. 34 seconds on the clock. Second down from the 50-yard line. We'll be going to 60 minutes following our football telecast. #1 rated show, and certainly one of the most popular. And those of you fans back in the Midwest area will be seeing 60 minutes, not those of you watching out on the West Coast.
Now he's probably given them a couple of different options here as to what we do on this next down as to what we're going to do from there, depending. We have 34 seconds, one timeout. They got to be careful on throwing it over the middle. They'll have to use their timeout if they complete it over the middle and do not get out of bounds.
Bashnagel and Marjoram, the wide receivers on second down. McMahon trying to find somebody open downfield, eluding the rush again, and has to take it out of bounds. Excellent coverage deep by the Seahawks. It did appear that Marjoram might have been behind number 44 on the coverage, John Harris, way over on the far side, but that may have been just after McMahon.
4 defensive backs, 3 linebackers, and 4 rushmen, and they give you different zones from it. But basically, it's the same thing every time.
Final seconds of the game in Atlanta. The Falcons 35, New Orleans nothing. Third down here. McMahon intended for Bashnagel, incomplete. A flag down, however. A flag down out on the right side, 5 yards downfield from the line of scrimmage.
Well, it's going to be against Seattle, and it's going to...
And again, just this reminder that those of you not on the West Coast will be seeing 60 minutes. Immediately following football, we realize we're at the time when that program normally begins.
42 defense, first down.
Keith Simpson called for holding, one of those receivers trying to get downfield.
But we still come down to the point where the Bears are going to have to eventually throw the ball way down the field here. I mean, they're down to 21 seconds, and I don't think they've thrown, except for the one he threw away, they've hardly thrown a pass further than about 10 yards down the field or 15 yards. So they've got to get it down the field if they're going to have any kind of a chance to win.
McMahon, short pass again. Payton. Payton is dropped immediately at the line of scrimmage. About a half-yard gain at the most as the Seahawks covered defensively well again. 11 seconds. Ditka and Hughes conferring on the sideline. Final timeout has been taken by the Bears with 11 seconds.
Now, Mike McCormick's got to decide on how he's going to handle his defense. He's been going with 4 defensive backs. As long as he makes sure that the Bears throw the ball in front of him, I would imagine you'd have to get... They have the nickel. They have used the nickel. I know some, but I'm really surprised
that they haven't gone to it.
They haven't gone to it.
They haven't got Jackson in, who is a great drop man as a middle linebacker. They're going with a rookie Robinson. It's very interesting what they're doing and what they're achieving. Joe Nash has just come in.
Well, the Bears are playing right into their hands the last few plays because they're dropping the linebackers off, giving you the short pass, and then come up and make the tackle. Right now, I'd have every defensive back on my squad on the field back about 20 yards because they got to run past you to get there. So
now you know that, of course, is the old argument about the prevent defense, and you see teams march down the field. Generally speaking, do you favor the prevent pass defense, or are you talking really about this particular?
I'm talking about this particular situation now.
Temptation certainly would be to line up a whole bunch of DBs back there.
He still has 4 defensive backs in the game.
Yep.
And 3 linebackers. He hasn't changed the defense. He changed their zone up a little bit, but you only have 4 people who are used to handling the ball all that much or going up for high passes and stuff.
He is sacked at the 40-yard line by Jacob Green, and right behind him was the rookie Bryant. And that Seattle defense was plenty good enough. All the way back to the Bears' 40-yard line. 7 seconds and counting. They may get one more off. They will. The final play. Up the field for Moorhead, incomplete. And it is all over. The Seattle Seahawks have defeated the Chicago Bears 20-14 and have evened their mark at 3-3. For Johnny Morris, this is Tim Ryan saying so long from the Kingdome. Now let's go. Well, let's not go yet. We've got a moment or two here to recap this. There's the final score, as you can see, and Mike Ditka, a very unhappy coach, leaving the field as the Bears have fallen to 2-4. And so there is the happy coach, Mike McCormick, congratulating his guard, Robert Pratt. And remember, we will be going to 60 minutes very shortly, everywhere except on the West Coast. And the final score here, the Chicago Bears coming up short against the Seattle Seahawks. And those of you who are out here on the West Coast will be joining Brent Musburger shortly. And there is the final score.
Let's take a look at Mike McCormick's reaction on that last play.
All right, so for Johnny Morris, this is Tim Ryan saying so long from Seattle. And let's go to Brent Musburger in New York.
60 Minutes is next, except for those of you on the West Coast. And on your way to 60 Minutes, a quick scoring update around the league. And it was a wild afternoon. Atlanta now very much in the playoff picture, 35-0 over Bum Phillips and the New Orleans Saints. Denver and the Rams, the Broncos have come back. They lead by 3 now, late in the fourth quarter of that game in Anaheim. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs have marched the distance, 39 seconds to go. They lead the Raiders by 2, 16-14. In the game many of you just watched, the Seahawks beat the Bears 20-14. The game featured the hit of the day. Listen and then watch.
We got a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 55 defense. The touchdown count.
I mean, Michael Jackson, he was so enraged, he went over and pow! That was the hit of the day right there, 2014. Mike McCormick now 3-1 since taking over the Seahawks. The Jets at 5-1 now. Move atop the AFC along with the Bengals, 32-17 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buffalo shuts out Pittsburgh, one of the worst days in the career of Terry Bradshaw, as he goes 2 of 13 for only 3 yards. New England, a winner over Miami, 3-0. We give the game ball of the day to that man right there. He was driving the Zamboni. Shula says, get him out of there, get him out of there. All that snow, don't let him sit up and kick the field goal. But look what he did for John Smith. Cleaned it off, and sure enough, it was bullseye, 3-0. New England beats Miami. They drop out of first place. Now, elsewhere in an NFC game that went right down to the wire, Washington beats St. Louis, 12-7 the final there. Cincinnati continues rolling. 23-10 over the Cleveland Browns today. Minnesota on a Rick Danmeyer field goal. They beat Baltimore and Frank Kush by 3, 13-10. And Detroit explodes 30-10 over the Green Bay Packers. The conference standings now look just like this. Let us start with the NFC. There are the Washington Redskins at 5-1. Dallas can move into a tie if they beat Houston tomorrow night. You can see Green Bay and Atlanta at 4-2. And look at those teams bunched there at 3-3. The rest of the conference looks like this now. Chicago goes to 2-4 along with Tampa Bay and San Francisco, the Super Bowl champs. Over in the AFC, they have more good teams atop that conference this year. Cincinnati and the Jets are tied at 5-1. Then the Raiders, and they're still trying to come back. They're moving on Kansas City. Buffalo, Miami, Pittsburgh, and San Diego at 4-2. And I've just received word that I think the Raiders have gone into the end zone, a touchdown, and that would move them back atop the AFC. Indeed, that is correct. Now, let me remind you that next Saturday we've got the Pioneer Bowl, the Division I AA Championship. This is going to be a good football game. Delaware and Eastern Kentucky will start at high noon with the NCAA today. After that, the Battle of Los Angeles. The Raiders now are going to close out the day at 5-1. They'll take on the Rams in the Los Angeles Coliseum. Coming up next, except for those of you on the West Coast, is 60 Minutes. Those of you on the West Coast, we'll see it a little bit later. I'm Brent Musburger.